A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Radio 59, Albany, New York. WROW, the Tri-City's #1 station for news.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Now, the story of a prize fighter who turned into an opera singer. Talk About Caruso by Milton Geiger.
I've seen enough.
There are 2 more bouts.
I want to talk to Joe Trenton.
Francesca, I can't allow you to become infatuated with this third-rate prize fighter. Remember who you are.
I tell you, he has talent. The man has a voice.
A glass jaw does not necessarily imply a crystal voice.
Well, I must talk to him. Now, in his dressing room.
My time and better the palooka goes to the ring hollering some lousy garlic music. Shut up, your lousy music. I'm talking to you. Me, Harry Gold.
I sing because I like to sing and because it's good box office. You notice the women at the ringside? Classy babes, and they're there to see me, Joe Trenton, the singing slugger. And my looks don't hurt either.
Maybe that's why you dive so early, to save your looks. All right, Caruso, you're finished with me.
That's okay with me, Galt. I'll get me another manager.
I got a contract with you. Says I own 50% of you. And you don't fight for me, but you don't fight for anybody else, see?
Now, wait a minute, Galt.
Sing that one to the ringside.
Galt, I gotta live.
The last thing in the world I'm interested in, Joe. So look out. Go on, Caruso.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's all yours, lady.
May I come in, Mr. Trenton?
Sure. Come in. Close the door. It's a draft in the dressing room.
I'm Francesca Lombard. I'm a singer.
Francesca Lombard, the City Opera. Sure.
I saw the fight, Mr. Trenton.
You saw me on my worst night.
I've seen you on other nights.
Oh?
Have you ever considered singing as a career?
Well, not seriously.
No, you have a pleasant voice. It's untrained, and I don't think it'll ever be really good.
Gee, everybody's so nice to me tonight.
Oh, you've had some interesting publicity already. I think that was more publicity on a different level. Your looks, my influence and connections. I think something interesting could be done.
You're kidding.
Are you interested?
Am I interested?
Then I want you to meet Arrigo Carrera, general manager of the opera, and my dear friend, Joe.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Munch, munch, munch a bunch of Fritos. Corn chips, it's not polite to smack your lips, but you can't help it with Fritos corn chips. Munch, munch, munch a bunch of Fritos. Corn chips.
Fritos are the perfect after-school or between-meal snack. Golden chips of corn just made to munch. A nutritious treat for children and grown-ups alike. Fritos corn chips are full of such good, crisp flavor, such good for your nourishment, there's contentment in every munch.
Munch, munch, munch a bunch of Fritos corn chips.
Whenever you want good munching, get Fritos corn chips. Whenever you want to add zip to a lunchbox, to salads, soup, or sandwiches, serve Fritos corn chips. They're America's favorite, Fritos corn chips.
Munch, munch, munch a bunch of Fritos corn chips.
to this one in Variety, friend.
Uh-huh.
Joe Trenton, set to be getting $20,000 for 3 weeks' toil at Las Vegas, sings and boxes for his supper. True, he sings like a fighter and fights like a singer, but $20 grand for 3 weeks of light calisthenics is not trivial. This is more hay than Joe ever made as a haymaker, by far. Cute, huh?
Very cute.
I like it. Know what I mean?
Look, here's one. Joe Trenton, billed as the singing slugger, sings as he once slugged. Passably, but there is a talent there. He does have charm and a nifty physique. And if he sings opera under fourth draft, at least it's a dreamboat under fourth draft. Ask any of the mink and ermine at the ringside tables.
Great.
I think I'm jealous.
They still don't get it out of their heads that I used to be a fighter.
Well, you still have a way of slipping off a quarter of a note.
So a little rosin will fix that.
And a lot of practice, Joe.
Going to get me that Ed Sullivan shot?
You're on 3 weeks from this Sunday.
I like you.
Thank Arrigo. He arranged it.
Thanks, baby, for arranging with Arrigo to arrange it with Sullivan.
Oh, you're so welcome, Joe. Joe. The phone.
Let it ring. Look, Arrigo, I'm big box office every place else. It's time I was box office at the opera.
You are insane.
Stop, both of you.
Look, I can act good enough. I can sing.
Just barely.
So I'll barely sing. I'll sing Radames and Aida stripped to the waist. That'll give the folks a treat. You know, I'm not one of these blubbery tenors. You know what I mean.
Francesca, what do you want me to do?
Oh, please, Arrigo.
I'll see what can be done. We'll answer the door for you, Joe. Come, Francesca.
Build it big, Arrigo. The likable image of a young singer of humble beginnings and all.
I'm looking for Joe Trenton.
He's here.
Who is it?
A baritone. Good day, sir.
Who?
Hey, Joe. Harry Goss, remember?
Harry Gold. How are you? How are Eddie and Larry? How's Mart?
Eddie and Larry are fine. Marty's not so good. He's dead. But you're doing fine, Joe. TV, Vegas, records, huh?
I recommend every palooka should study music.
Well, I don't want to keep you from your practice and so forth, so we'll just sit down and settle up our accounts, Joe?
Accounts?
50% of Joe Trenton. That's what the contract says. Remember?
Wait a minute, Gold. I'm not a fighter. Now I'm a singer.
Yeah. Look at your contract, singer. It says the syndicate, meaning me, Harry Gold, owns 50% of every buck you earn, no matter how. You fight, or peddle shoelaces, or sing loud Italian songs, it's all the same. I get my 50% ironclad.
You're a liar.
Read the contract, bum.
Don't call me a bum.
$100,000, Joe. I figure that ought to about cover what you owe me for the first year, give or take a buck.
Get out of here.
You're talking to Harry Gold, bum.
Don't call me that.
Bum.
I warned you. I warned you, Gold. Get up.
Sure. And now I'll tell you, Joe. You made a big mistake belting Harry Gold. You couldn't buy back that belt you gave me for no amount of money now.
Out!
So long, singer.
In a moment, we will return for the third act of Suspense.
Welcome, recording star Mel Torme.
It's terrible trying to sing with a bad cold. So I always take 4-way cold tablets to relieve cold miseries fast.
Good idea. Tests of all the leading cold tablets proved 4-way fastest acting. 4-way starts in minutes to relieve muscular pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
When you catch cold, try my way. Take 4-way cold tablets. The fast way to relieve cold distress and feel better quickly.
4-way, only 29 cents. Our program will continue in a moment after word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. To get rid of embarrassing dandruff in 3 minutes, change to Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep unsightly dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair, rub in 1 minute. Add water, lather 1 minute, then rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch and embarrassing dandruff gone. At the same time, Fitch can brighten hair up to 35%. Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo today.
Attention! Listen to me, everybody! Announcement! Joe. Rico, where's Joe?
Right behind you. You've been drinking too much, friend.
This is an occasion. Everybody, listen! With the permission of Maestro Arriga Carrera, whom we all love, it's my great joy to tell you that Joe will make his operatic debut 1 month from tomorrow, singing Radames in Aida. Joe isn't a preliminary boy anymore. He's made the main bout. Give him a hand.
Did she have to get it in that I was a prelim someone?
Shut up and drink yourself.
She's drunk.
Whose fault is that?
Joe, aren't you going to sing something?
I get paid for singing.
It was customary after such announcements.
Now, with me it isn't.
Joe, instead, is going to match that other great tenor, Enrico Caruso, and shatter a wine glass with one mighty note. Aren't you, Joe?
What?
Oh, no, Enrico.
Why not, darling? Anything that Caruso did, Joe can do better.
Maybe I can.
Oh, it's just a legend, Joe. Nobody's proved it.
On the other hand, they do say that Yasha Heifetz could shake down the Empire State Building by playing just the right note on his violin.
Only Heifetz would prefer to shake down the Chrysler Building. Know what I mean, huh? Fritz, Chrysler, his rival fiddler, huh?
We get it, Joe.
You do? Well, get this. If anybody else did, I can do it, yeah.
Bravo.
Give me your glass, White.
Oh, Joe,
guy.
don't.
Shut up.
First, you get the tone of the empty glass by flicking it with your fingernails.
Okay.
Impossible.
Here goes.
If at first you don't succeed,
Impossible.
again, Joe,
Until it breaks.
or a blood vessel does. Oh, well.
All right, let me catch my breath, that's all.
Enrico, why did you?
He might learn the lesson of humility from it.
Here's my champagne glass. Scratch it with your diamond ring.
Scratch the glass and spoil the lesson.
Do as I tell you if you love me.
Very well. But I wish I had begun my career as a third-rate prize fighter.
Joe, you'll ruin your voice. Now I want you to stop. Give me the glass.
When I've broken it. Look out!
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, plenty of glasses. Glass
Now,
here.
look, take
Glass.
mine since you insist. For luck.
All right, luck. Here goes. Yeah?
Joe, I'm waiting for you.
Waiting where? What for?
Well, at the Opera House. We were going to run through some of your music, just the two of us and an accompanist.
Oh, that's right. I'll be down in half an hour. Look, all right, I told you. I'll be down at your crummy Opera House in a half an hour.
You didn't tell me, bum.
Galt?
The bill collector, Joe.
I already told you, Galt. I made some money, yeah, but Uncle Sam... Hello, Galt. Hello. Dumb. He's dumb. better get with it. That taxi that's been following us. Lose it. The Opera House, quick.
In just a moment, we will return for the concluding act of Suspense. Pepsi-Cola refreshes without filling. Why? Because it's truly light.
Charlie, you're forgetting something.
Wait, Kay, there's more. Yes, ice-cold Pepsi is the delicious refreshment that goes great at a picnic or a party.
But, Charlie...
And Pepsi goes fast. People like it, so keep plenty handy. There.
Oh, you did fine, except for one thing.
Well, I mentioned lightness and how Pepsi refreshes and how fast it goes.
You left out Pepsi sociability. You know the Be Sociable song.
But, Kay, I can't sing.
I can. Listen. Be sociable, look smart, keep up to date with Pepsi. Drink light, refreshing Pepsi. Stay young and fair and debonair. Be sociable, have a Pepsi.
Well, at least I can say this. Pick up an extra carton of Pepsi today.
Please do.
Joe, what kept you so long?
I got held up in traffic.
You're out of breath. Is anything the matter?
I had to get out and walk. This crosstown traffic is hopeless.
Well, I felt we might run through some of our numbers.
Who's that? Who's that out in the audience?
They said they were friends of yours.
Friends? You out there. That you, Galt?
Present. Bum.
How'd you get in here? You and all your pals. How'd you get past the doorman?
Persuasion, Joe. We persuaded them.
Fran, get to a phone. Call the police.
Why? I don't understand.
He's been following me. They're going to kill me.
Joe.
Hurry.
You going someplace, singing lady?
I thought you were smart, Galt. This time next week I'll be in big money, but big. I'm just about out of hock with Uncle Sam now. There'll be plenty of loot now for both of us, Galt.
Sure. Only you building me one in your hotel room. You can't buy back that right cross. It hurts. Make it go away, Joey. You hear me, Joe? Sing.
Look, Harry.
Joe, the backstage phone is dead.
Then go to the box office. Go outside. He's going to get me, I tell you.
All the passages are guarded. I can't move, Joe.
So what's a good word, Joe?
Galt, listen. So I made a mistake.
Sing, Joe.
I'm sorry I hit you, Harry.
Sing, Joe. Let's see you hit something with your voice. Let's hear a good high one.
Sure. I'd be proud to, Harry.
I'd be proud to, Harry. Joe.
Fran, the chandelier. Like the wine glass. And don't look, Galt is sitting under the chandelier.
Who are you mumbling at, Joe? Let me in on it. Who are you mumbling at? Your girl walked out on you during the act.
Fran, where are you?
Not bad. I was hoping you'd give us a nice duet. Let's hear your solo, Joe. Sing.
Sure, Harry. Let me limber up the old vocal cords, huh?
Why, sure, Joe. Limber up in good health. Why, you got it.
The chandelier.
Good, Joe.
Again. It's swinging. It's going. It's going. I did it. It worked. I did it. I sang down the chandelier. Fran, where are you? I did it. Talk about Caruso. Did you see those bums clear out of here? Fran, where the devil?
Oh, Joe.
Where were you? You went and missed it all. Galt's gone. He's dead. He's a goner. Fran, it worked.
I killed.
You're supposed to be my girl. Where were you? The biggest moment of my life. And they'll be talking about this when I'm dead and gone. Talk about Caruso. What do you mean? You killed him?
I was in the loft.
Loft?
The attic, I guess you'll call it. Working the winch.
Winch?
That raises and lowers the chandelier for cleaning. I thought, if I worked the winch back and forth, if I got the chandelier to swing it might break its cable and...
You're a liar.
I killed him. I had to, Joe. For you.
You're a liar. Liar, 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 liar!
You're insane.
I did it, me, Joe Trenton. I stood right here and belted it out. I sang it out. I sang down that chandelier. Listen to this.
You're mad.
Fran, I can't raise my voice. Fran, what's the matter with me? I can't speak. I can't sing.
No, Joe. But then you never could. Well, somebody ought to notify the authorities.
Fran.
Yes?
Fran, I broke that wine glass with my voice. Didn't I?
Yes, Joe. I can't ever take that away from you.
Talk about Caruso.
Suspense.
You've been listening to Talk About Caruso, written for Suspense by Milton Geiger. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Are you out of tune due to irregularity? Then help yourself get back in tune with Kellogg's All Brand. Pleasant, isn't it? The feeling of well-being you get when constipation from lack of bulk is no longer a worry, when harsh, irritating drug laxatives can be thrown away. Because Kellogg's All Brand is the normal, natural way to regularity. Its whole brand content gentles away constipation, supplies your system with the bulk-forming food you need for youthful regularity. And it tastes good, too. Fact is, Kellogg's All Brand is the one and only whole brand cereal that combines proved effectiveness with appetizing taste and crispness. So if you're out of tune, help yourself get back in tune as millions do with Kellogg's All Brand. ALL-BRAN. Kellogg's All Brand.
Heard in tonight's story were Stuart Foster as Joe Trenton, Arlene Walker as Francesca, Robert Dryden as Arrigo, and Mason Adams as Galt. Listen again next week when we return with A Coffin for Mr. Cash by Robert Arthur, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
WROW, Albany, New York.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
The target, a solidly built two-story brick building on the edge of the industrial section of the city. The obstacle, 3 locked iron doors and 12 armed guards. The prize, $3 million in cash. The problem, to penetrate past the 3 locked doors and the armed guards and emerge safely with the money. The answer?
Just for the record, the name is Pete Wilson. Job? Night superintendent of the Lakeside Municipal Crematorium. time, midnight, about a year ago, with a thunderstorm bowling duckpins in the sky. I was reading the Western in my little office by the front door. My job was a nice, quiet one. We hardly ever had any customers at night. My entire staff, Danny Maxwell, was mopping the reception room when I heard the door open and someone come in. Then the daddy of all thunderbolts lifted me out of my chair. And whoever had come in spoke to Danny.
Hey, did you see that flash? Bright enough to be Judgment Day.
I guess it was Judgment Day, all right. For some people, that is. Did you know 2 people died just since you come in the door?
They did, huh? Died where?
Someplace in this country. Now 1 more has died.
That makes 3.
Now it's 4. That's the mortality rate for this country, 4 a minute. For this city, it's 1 every 30 minutes.
2 an hour.
48 every day.
And you'll be one of them if you keep up this line of chatter. I want to see your boss. Get him out here.
It was Al Thomas's voice, and of all the people in the world I didn't want to see, Al was all of them. But I got outside fast. Al Thomas. Well, long time no see.
Yeah, Petey boy, you're looking good, real good.
Excuse me, Mr. Pete, but this gentleman
is an old friend of mine, Danny. Go on out back and clean up. I want to talk to him. Danny went off with his mop, and I took Al into my office. I got out the bottle of bourbon I used to help the prowl cowboys warm up with on cold nights. Al took off his wet $90 gabardine topcoat and smiled at me with big sharp teeth.
Nice setup you got here, Pete. Your own boss, lots of time to yourself, everything nice and quiet.
I like it quiet, Al.
Yeah, you always did, didn't you? Remember how noisy our cell used to be? Always somebody in a cell block coughing or snoring or choking or screaming?
Yeah, I remember.
Look, what are we talking about cells? Let's talk about something interesting. Like money.
Money, Al?
Money. I got a little job in mind, Pete, and I need some help. You.
Al, I'd certainly like to help out, but the doc told me to avoid any excitement. The old ticker, you know.
Excitement? This will be like wheeling the baby to church. Tell me, Petey, can you drive a horse?
Well, sure, I can drive a horse.
Then you're in. I'm giving you a 20% piece. The total take should be $3 million. So you'll be the first guy in history to earn $600,000 for driving a horse. Any questions, Petey?
Oh, what kind of a horse, Al?
Horse? Who said anything about a horse? I asked if you could drive a hearse. A hearse, boy, a hearse.
The last thing I wanted was to get back into the business. And the last person I wanted to get back into it with was my old cellmate, Al. But if he wanted me, I was stuck. Being a 3-time loser, all he had to do was plant some hot goods on me and call the cops, and I was up for life. I had to play along. So the next afternoon, I went to see him in his room in that crummy lodging house, and he took me to the window and pointed.
See that steam shovel across the street?
Well, sure, I see it. Excavating for a new building.
Yeah, and you see the solid old brick building right next to it?
Uh-huh. It's the main headquarters of Dollar Delivery, the big armored car outfit.
Right.
It's where they could load the armored cars with the money.
Now, every Thursday night, there's better than $3 million in that building, Pete, being packaged for payrolls in this area. Next Thursday night, we're cutting ourselves in on that $3 million.
Just, you and me? Just the two of us knocking over 12 armed guards and 3 locked doors and...
Petey, relax. Of course we're not trying anything like that.
I was afraid for a minute.
I use brains, Pete. Brains, not muscles. You know who's operating that steam shovel? Marty Brannigan.
Marty Brannigan?
That's right. The whole construction gang is part of his mob. They have the foundation of the Dollar Delivery building weakened in one spot so it's all ready to cave. And next Thursday, it will cave. They'll just walk in and pick up the dough.
But then, where do we come in, huh?
Oh, that's simple, Pete. We take it away from them.
So that's how the dollar delivery holdup started. Anyway, how my part in it started. Al didn't explain anymore, and I didn't ask no questions. Al didn't like questions. But next night, he dropped into the crematorium, and I showed him how we take care of our customers. Now, back here, Al, is the receiving door.
Mm-hmm.
From the outside, a box is rolled through on these steel rollers. One man can handle it. Yeah, I'll show you how the whole deal works. It's practically automatic. Danny?
Yes, Mr. Pete?
Come out here in a minute.
What do we need him for?
Yeah, Danny always does the honors.
Well, can you trust him? If he starts talking.
Oh, Danny never talks. He's punchy. He used to be in the ring. As fast as a thing happens, he forgets it.
Here, Mr. Pete.
Yeah, well, show my friend Al how we handle this, eh?
Oh, sure, Mr. Pete. First I push this button.
That turns on the furnace, Al.
Mm-hmm.
Then I push the box down the steel rollers like this.
Now watch. The furnace door opens automatically.
Hey, the box is rolling right into the flames.
All automatic. Now the door will shut down. That's all there is to it. Okay, Danny. Go on back out front.
Yes, Mr. Pete.
Very neat. What's down these stairs?
Well, that's the storage room. We keep cleaning supplies down there, urns, stuff like that.
Good. We'll hide the money down there.
Hide the money here?
You heard me. We got to hide it someplace, Pete. This is one spot it won't be looked for. That's all then till Thursday night. Oh, except I'll need an official form.
Well, what kind of official form, Al?
The regular kind. Authorizing a cremation.
I wished I knew what Al was figuring on. But like I say, Al didn't like questions. When I thought about the job, taking $3 million away from Marty Brannigan's mob, I went hot and cold. I wanted to bow out, but didn't know how. Al wanted me to help for some reason, and what Al wanted, he got. So I sweated it out, and finally Thursday night came, and along about midnight, I found myself in Al's room watching the dollar delivery building across the street. A truck drove up to it and inside.
There goes one of the armored cars inside now to pick up a payroll delivery. Any minute, Marty Brannigan will make his move.
Everything seems so quiet.
What do you want, a brass band? Keep quiet and listen. That's Marty Brannigan getting inside. His boys are in there now. Now, if we don't hear any shooting or an alarm, by the time I count to 10, they pull it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, they've done it. Now it's time for us, Pete. Come on.
Well, where to, Al?
To buy a quart of milk, chum.
Al led me out the back way. We started walking through the dark, quiet streets. We walked 5 blocks, 10, and then the quiet night blew wide open.
All right, the alarm's been sounded, but Brannigan and his boys are a long way from the dollar delivery building by now.
Sure, but anything moving in this town is going to be stopped and searched.
They know that. All right, here we are.
Where?
See that milk wagon at the curb?
Yeah, sure.
Now, here comes the driver delivering the milk. Now, act drunk and try to buy a quart from him. Go ahead.
Buddy. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, what is it?
Listen, buddy. I want to buy a quart of milk.
I just deliver, Mac. I don't sell.
Well, my old lady sent me out to get a quart of milk. Just 1 quart? No, let me have one little old quart, buddy.
Hey, let go of my arm, you lush. Let go, I said. Okay, take this.
Just as the milkman slugged me, Al stepped in from behind and laid a sap over his ear. We caught him and dragged him into the milk wagon and tossed him in back on top of the cases of milk. Then I found myself standing there with the reins in my hand.
All right, Pete, you said you could drive a horse, then drive.
Come on, boy. Come on.
In the next block, there's an alley. Turn into it.
Oh, yeah, sure. I hope none of them prowl cars stop us.
Who's going to stop a milk wagon?
Well, they might notice we aren't delivering any milk.
Don't worry, they won't. They're all heading for the dollar delivery building. And that's one place they won't find anything. Brannigan and his mob have had 17 minutes to make a getaway.
Then they got away with the dollars, too. Where does that leave us?
With all the cream, chum. That milkman in back there is one of the mob.
One of Brannigan's mob?
Sure, he's been on the job for 6 months. That's how long Brannigan's been planning this. Marty wasn't taking any chance of being stopped and searched. First thing he did was stop and transfer all the loot to this milk wagon. The money is back there, Petey. Under the milk.
Huh?
Like I said, who's going to stop a milk wagon? Okay, here's the alley. Turn in here.
I turned the horse into the alley. It was lined with garages. I maneuvered the horse and wagon into one of them, and Al slammed the door shut. While I took time to mop my brow, Al was already opening the door into the next garage.
Hey, Pete, come here and look.
Yeah, sure. At what?
In there. All parked and ready.
Holy cow. It's a hearse.
That's right, a nice, respectable-looking hearse. And in that hearse is a plain pine coffin. Petey, we're going to fill that coffin with $3 million. Then we'll drive it to the crematorium. We'll unload the box and hide the money in the storage room, then put the coffin through the furnace just as if it was a legitimate customer. I got all the documents. Made out for Albert G. Cash. Albert G. Cash of Dorchmont. Now, in about a week, we'll load the dough into the hearse again, and I'll drive it right out of the state. Nobody's going to suspect the hearse, Petey. Okay, let's get busy. We got to put Mr. Cash in his coffin.
Al and I lugged the money sacks in the milk wagon and stowed them in the empty coffin. When we finished, Al went back to check on the unconscious driver, and I heard him yell,
Hey, Pete, come here. This guy is...
By the time I got there, Al Thomas was stretched out on the garage floor, and the milkman was gone, running. I didn't have time to wonder about him. I had to look after Al. He had an ugly gash in his head, and the blood was pouring down his face. I mopped off the blood and lugged into the hearse, where I stretched him out on the front seat. He shook his head groggy and tried to sit up.
Oh, you slugged me, Pete. You waited for me, slugged me.
Now, take it easy, Al. Don't try to talk.
We got to get the dough hid. And you got to get me back to my room.
You need a doc. You're hurt bad.
No, Doc. Get the dough to the crematorium and hide it. Oh, come on, get going.
I got the motor started and drove the hearse out of there. I just hoped no cops would wonder what a hearse was doing on the street so late. If anybody asked, we were from out of town. One plow car went by without stopping. Then we returned into the parking space back at the municipal crematorium. Everything was quiet. I slid the pine box holding Mr. Cash onto the loading platform and through the door on the conveyor. And I helped Al inside. All right, Al. Another couple of steps. That's it. Okay, we're inside. Now we'll hide the dough, and then we'll get you back to your room and get the hearse back in its garage. I'll get rid of the milk wagon, and we're set, eh?
Hey, I feel pretty bad, Peter. I gotta lie down.
Mr. Pete? Is that you, Mr. Pete?
And you gotta hide. Stand behind this pillar.
Mr. Pete? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Well, what is it, Danny?
I got the front all cleaned up. You want me to clean up back here now?
No, not yet. Later.
Hey, is that a customer come in that box?
Yeah, it's Mr. A.G. Cash at Dorchmont. Now, look, Danny.
Ain't it pretty late to be receiving customers?
Well, it's a rush job, but the family's leaving town in the morning. And then now go sleep out the chapel and stay there until I call you, huh?
Well, sure, Mr. Pete. Do I do the honors?
Later. And then I'll beat it. All right, Al, you can come out now. Danny's gone. Hey, Al, what's the matter? You look so funny. Al! Al hit the floor like a sandbag and just lay there. I bent over him, feeling for his pulse. And then I knew. Al Thomas was dead.
In just a moment, we will return for the concluding act of Suspense.
confidentially, before I got the happy habit, I never could have talked to strangers this way. Mumbled, maybe. But talked? Oh, never. And my happy habit is catching. One listen does it. Arthur Godfrey, Art Linkletter's House Party, Gary Moore, and the new Bing Crosby, Rosemary Clooney show. CBS Radio has them all. It's live showbiz sound. Every Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Catch?
Al was dead, all right. Sometimes the skull fracture has a delayed effect like that. I turned hot and then cold. There was a buzzing in my ears. Now I had a cold corpse, $3 million in hot cash, and an unexplained hearse on my hands. If I could juggle them all fast enough, I was a millionaire. But if I fumbled, well, who'd ever believed I hadn't killed Al for the loot? I'm up my face. Should I? Shouldn't I? Could I? Couldn't I? I began to think I could do it. I could hide Al and the money in the storeroom, burn the coffin, get rid of the hearse, and then...
Mr. Pete!
Huh?
Mr. Pete!
Yeah. What is it, Danny?
There's 2 cops out front asking for you.
2, the cops?
Officer Hunt and Officer Connell. They want to ask you some questions.
Oh, okay. Tell them I'll be right in. No, I didn't have no choice. I got Al's body out of sight as fast as I could. No time to lug him down to the storage room. And inside 60 seconds, I was out front talking to Hunt and Connell, the prowl car team who patrolled our neighborhood.
Pete, we wanted to ask you, did you hear anything unusual tonight?
Just sirens, lots of them. Something big happened?
Not unless you count $2.5 million big.
$2.5 million?
Somebody knocked over a dollar delivery and got away with $2.5 million. Missed $500,000 in their hearse.
Yeah, we've been searching every car and truck in the streets. No sign of the dough. Headquarters thinks the gang hid it and broke up.
Hid it, huh?
Now we're searching block by block. You hear any unusual noises, trucks or cars stopping, anything like that?
No, not me. Not a thing.
You don't mind if we search the place?
Search the crematorium? Oh, of course not. Oh, but first, I got some embalming fluid I'd like you to test.
Embalming fluid, huh?
Yeah.
It sounds interesting. What do you say, Hunt?
I say let's try it.
Okay. Right over here in my office. Step in. Be comfortable. I keep it in here, filed under E. The best Kentucky bourbon embalming fluid. See what you think, huh?
Man, that'll put life in a mummy. Here, Connell.
Thanks, Hunt.
You're right.
That'll make the dead ones happy and the live ones happier.
Well, have another. It'll be a long night.
You can say that twice. The captain is really going to ride us to find that dough. Well, happy days.
They each had another drink and then went out to look around. I sat there and held my breath, praying they wouldn't find Al or notice the hearse out back. They looked around for a minute and then I heard them go out. I kept on sitting there until my heart stopped pounding. Finally, I went out to finish the job of hiding my dough. I was a millionaire now. 2.5 times a millionaire. And all of it tax-free. I even had a couple of nasty thoughts for Marty Bannigan's stupidity and missing the other $500,000. And as I stood in the reception room listening, I heard something. And all of a sudden, I had a horrible thought. And I began to run toward the back. Danny!
Yeah, Mr. Pete?
Danny, did you...
Did I what, Mr. Pete?
Danny, where's the box from Mr. Cashier?
Well, you said it was a rush job, so I processed it.
Oh, no. Let me look. Let me see. Oh, you did it. It's in there. It's burning.
I figured you'd be glad to have it done, Mr. Pete. Hey, tell me, what did his initials stand for? I mean A.G. Cash.
Stand for his initial. I'll tell you. All gone, Danny. All gone. Cash. Yes, it was all gone, all right. The whole $2.5 million. Cremated. Well, I was passing out drinks to Hunt and Connell. Well, the dollar delivery boys and the feds finally caught Marty Brannigan and his mob. But they never would buy the story that Marty didn't have any idea where the money went to. Tell them to look in the urn on the top shelf of the storage room of the Lakeside Municipal Crematorium. There's the name A.G. Cash on it. I don't suppose they'll be able to do much with the nice white ashes in the urn. But ask them to be gentle with them. They're not only the most expensive ashes in the world, but they're also all that's left of Al Thomas. Because the only place I could hide Al in a hurry was to undo the trick lid of the coffin and put Al on top of the money and then latch it shut again. So Al and the dough went in the furnace together. Anyway, he died rich. And I like to think he made a liar out of those jerks who go around saying you can't take it with you. If anybody ever took it with him, it was Al.
Suspense. You've been listening to Coffin for Mr. Cash, written for Suspense by Robert Arthur. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense. Are you all out of tune because you're irregular? Then help yourself get back in tune with Kellogg's All Brand. You'll feel right on pitch when Kellogg's All Brand goes gently to work. Relieves constipation due to lack of bulk by supplying your system with bulk-forming whole bran. Yes, a daily bowl full of Kellogg's All Bran with milk helps put you right back in tune. The natural way. The good-tasting way, too. Fact is, Kellogg's All Bran is the one bran cereal that combines proved effectiveness with appetizing taste and crispness. It never gets mushy in milk. So remember, if constipation's a problem, gentle it away, as millions do, with Kellogg's All Bran. The good food way to keep regular as clockwork. ALL-BRAN. Kellogg's All Bran. At your grocer's. Heard in tonight's story were Leon Janney as Pete Wilson and Mandel Kramer as Al Thomas. Others in the cast included Sam Raskin, Sam Gray, Joseph Boland, and Bob Donnelly. Listen again next week when we return with A Shipment of Mute Fate by Martin Storm. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Martin Storm's great story, A Shipment of Mute Fate. I stopped on the wharf at La Guaira, and I looked up the gangplank toward the liner Chancey, standing there quietly at her moorings. The day was warm under a bright Venezuelan sun, and the harbor beyond the ship lay drowsy and silent. But all at once, in the midst of those peaceful surroundings, a cold chill gripped me, and I shivered with sudden dread of the thing I was about to do. But too much had happened to turn back now. I'd gone too far to stop. I set the box down on the edge of the wharf, placed it carefully so as to be in plain sight and within gunshot of the captain's bridge. Then I turned and started up the gangplank. I knew what I was going to do, but I couldn't forget that a certain pair of beady eyes were watching every move I made. Eyes that never blinked and never closed. Just watched and waited. And
Oh, excuse me, sir. I didn't... Well, it's Mr. Warner.
Well, hello, Mother Willis. And how's the best-looking stewardess on the 7 Seas?
Why, I'm fine, Mr. Warner. It's nice seeing you again.
Wait a minute. That's a fine greeting after 2 months.
Well, I have a great deal to do aboard.
I don't believe a word of it. Sailing day's tomorrow. You're simply avoiding me, that's all.
Oh, no, really, I'm not.
And on the trip down from New York, you said I was your favorite passenger, remember?
And so you were. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Here, wait a minute. What are you carrying there? Apron?
Oh, nothing, just supplies.
Supplies? Let's have a look.
No, please.
Oh, come on. Hey, it's a cat.
It's Clara, Mr. Warner. Mr. Bowman said I had to leave her ashore. I just couldn't.
And who's Mr. Bowman?
The new chief steward. He's fussy. Clara's been aboard with me for 2 years. I just can't leave her here in a foreign country, especially with her condition so delicate and all.
Oh, yes. Oh, I see. Well, I hope you get away with it.
You won't tell anyone?
Not a soul. As a matter of fact, if things don't work out right, we may both end up smuggling.
I was most happy to have you aboard on the trip down 2 months ago, Christopher, and I'm very glad you're coming along with us on the run back to New York.
Well, thanks, Captain Wood. There is one thing, though. I'm having a little trouble with the customs men here, and I wondered if you could...
I can't do it, Christopher. I just cabled your father this morning, told him I'd have done it for you if I possibly could, and he sent a request from New York, you know.
Yes, I thought he would. I wired him from upriver last week.
I hated to refuse, but it's absolutely out of the question.
Captain Wood, I'm afraid I don't follow you.
Responsibility to the passengers, son. We'll have women and children aboard, and on a liner, the safety of the passengers comes ahead of anything else.
Yes, but with proper precaution.
Something might happen. I don't know what, but something might.
You've carried worse things.
No, Christopher, I simply can't take the chance, and that's final.
It was not final if I could do anything about it. I hadn't come down here to spend 2 months in that stinking backcountry and then be stopped on the edge of the wharf. 2 months of it. Heat, rain, insects, malaria. I'd gone clear in past the headwaters of the Orinoco. I traveled through country where every step along the jungle trail might be the last one. Sanchez!
Si, Senor Warner.
You better start looking for a place to camp. Be dark in a little while.
Si, Senor. Very soon we turn to river. Camp on the rocks by water. This very bad country.
For all the luck we've had so far, it might as well be Central Park.
Central Park, no comprendo.
Never mind.
But...
Sanchez, what's the matter? What's wrong? Hey, Sanchez, what is it?
There, in the path. See? Bushmaster.
Bushmaster. The deadliest snake in the world. Bushmaster. His Latin name was Lachesis mutus, mute fate. It lay there in the center of the path, a 10-foot length of silent death, coiled loosely in an undulant loop, ready to strike violently at the least movement. Here was the one snake that would go after any animal that walked, or any man. It lay there and watched us, not moving, not afraid, ready for anything. The splotch of its color stood out like some horribly gaudy floor mat lying there on the brown background of the jungle, just waiting for someone to step on it. Here was what I'd come 2,000 miles for. A bushmaster.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Hi, Whitey. Gonna throw a few fast Whitey Ford curves? Not now. It's spring and my car's got a date at the service station. Hello, Mr. Ford. In for that spring oil change? Right. And it's time for a fresh Fram oil filter. Better check my engine air filter, too. Will do, Mr. Ford. Say, you believe in taking good care of your car, eh, Whitey? You bet. The car needs regular oil changes and a fresh Fram filter every 5,000 miles.
Well, why a new filter every 5,000 miles, Whitey?
Because stop-and-go driving can load your oil fast with sludge and do real engine damage.
Maybe I'd better get fresh filters for my car.
Positively, and I suggest Fram filters.
All set, Mr. Ford. Oh, I replaced your dirty engine air filter with a new Fram, too.
The great Yankee pitcher Whitey Ford has the right pitch on filters. He's set for spring with a fresh Fram oil filter and a Fram air filter, too.
Good morning, Captain Wood. The man at the hotel said you wanted to see me?
That's right, Christopher. Sit down.
Thank you.
Seems you weren't willing to let matters stand the way we left them yesterday.
Oh. Well, look, Captain, I'm sorry to go over your head, but I just had to. The museum sent me all the way down here for it. I'm not going to be stopped by red tape. Why, this will be the only live Bushmaster ever brought to the United States.
If I had my way... Well, orders are orders. I got a cable from the head office this morning. All right, suppose we talk about precautions.
I'll handle it any way you say.
It's got to have a stronger box. That crate's too flimsy.
Well, it's stronger than it looks, and that wire screen on top would hold the Wildcat. But anyway, I bought a heavy sea chest this morning, and we'll put the crate inside of that,
Well, that sounds all right. You got a lock on it?
Heavy padlock. It's fixed so the lid can be propped open a crack without unlocking it. Snake's got to have some air.
But in dirty weather, that lid stays shut. I'll take no chances.
All right, Captain.
We'll keep the thing in my cabin. Can't have it in the baggage room. And nobody on board's to know about it.
Whatever you say, Captain, but we won't have any trouble. After all, it's only a snake. It doesn't have any magical powers.
I saw a Bushmaster in the zoo at Caracas once. Had it in a glass cage with double walls. It'd never move, just lay there, look at you as long as you were in sight. Gave a man the creeps.
I didn't know they had a Bushmaster at the Caracas Zoo.
They don't now. They found the glass broken one morning and the snake gone. The night watchman was dead. They never found out what happened.
Oh. Well, the watchman must have broken the glass by accident.
The way they figured it, the glass was broken from the inside. We sail in 4 hours.
Well, she's running quite a swell out there, Mr. Bowman, eh?
Yeah, it's a little heavy, all right, Mr. Warner. Guess the storm passed through to the west of us yesterday when the glass dropped. Great G. Hussafat, we're going to take it on the port bow. Hang on!
That was a freak if I ever saw one. Why, there's not another wave that size in sight.
Well, you see them like that sometimes, even in a calm sea. I got to get below, Mr. Warner. That water probably did some damage on the officer's deck.
Yes, I suppose it. What did you say?
The wheelhouse companionway was open on the port side. Bridge cabins must have taken a pretty bad smashing. They're right below the... Is something wrong, Mr. Warner?
No, nothing at all, Mr. Bowman. At least, I hope not. Of course, I knew it was only one chance in 1,000. But the chances of that freak wave were 1 in 1,000, too. I stumbled down the companionway and along the passage to the captain's cabin.
Oh, Mr. Warner.
Well, Mother Woolies.
Well, isn't this cabin a mess? I'm trying to get some of these things out to dry.
Yeah. Well, look, I just wanted to check. Where's that box that was under the captain's bunk?
Oh, that. I just threw it out on deck.
You what?
Well, the desk over there slid into it. It was all smashed.
But the small box inside of it, what happened to it?
Oh, they were both splintered, Mr. Warner. Broke wide open.
Oh, no.
Well, Mr. Warner, you're white as a sheet.
Mother Willis, will you go find Captain Wood and tell him to come down here immediately?
Well, I've got a great deal to do.
Please, go get him at once.
Very well. I suppose I can finish up here later.
I pulled open the top drawer of the bureau beside me, and I took out the captain's flashlight. I worked around the room, throwing the light into the dark corners, back of the desk, under the bunk. And wherever I turned, I could feel those cold, unblinking eyes at my back, just watching and waiting. I pushed open the closet door, threw the light inside. Carefully, I poked at the boxes and junk on the floor. But the snake was not in the closet. Inch by inch, I covered the entire cabin. And only then, a horrible realization began to dawn on me. Oh, Captain Wood.
Mother Willis just told me. Well, Christopher, so it's happened.
Yes, that's right. It's happened.
Well, we better start searching the cabin here.
Captain Wood, I just finished searching it.
Women and kids, and that thing loose on board. 1,000 places for it to hide. God help us, Christopher.
In just a moment, we will return for the concluding act of Suspense.
Next time you refresh, enjoy a frosty, ice-cold Pepsi-Cola.
Sociability, Charlie.
All right, Kay, how's this? Pepsi is light, refreshes without filling. You like to refresh? Have a Pepsi right now.
Well, offer it to everybody, Charlie.
I will. Enjoy Pepsi at the fountain. It's delicious at home, too. Have one at lunch, or with a snack.
Charlie.
At the beach or at dinner. Wherever you go, wherever you're thirsty, Pepsi is there.
It's here, too, in our Be Sociable song. Be sociable, look smart, keep up to date with Pepsi. Drink light, refreshing Pepsi. Stay young and fair, debonair. Be sociable, have a Pepsi.
For the weekend, have plenty of Pepsi around. Pick up an extra carton today. CK, I'm sociable.
With Pepsi, everyone is.
There's no use starting to blame anybody now, gentlemen. I didn't call you in here to pass judgment. The thing's done, and that's that.
All right there, Captain.
What we have got to do is make up our minds how we're going to handle it.
It'd be easier if we didn't have to tell the passengers and crew. I've seen panics aboard liners before.
Yes, I agree with you, Mr. Bowman, but I don't quite see how we can avoid it.
Well, they got a right to know. As long as that snake's loose, everybody on board's in the same danger, and they all ought to know about it.
Captain Wood, now that thing is 12 feet long. It can't simply crawl into a crack. Why don't we make a quick search of the whole ship before we spread any alarm?
Yes, I've thought of that, Christopher.
Well, as far as I can see, the only place it couldn't be is in the boilers or on the top of the galley stove.
It might have crawled overboard.
No, we can't count on that. We've got to assume it's on the ship somewhere.
Yeah, and that could be anywhere. In a coil of rope or in a pile of clothes.
Yes, or under some woman's berth or a baby's crib.
All right. I think the best idea is to follow Mr. Warner's suggestion. Make a quick search first. You agree to that?
Yes, I agree.
And then if we don't find it, we'll have to warn the passengers.
We've got to find it. But not one of us could find that deadly shape. Coiled in some dark corner or outstretched along a window seat. Not one of us caught a glimpse of that horrid head with its beady, black, watchful eyes. That thing lay waiting out there, somewhere along the decks, shaded in the gathering dusk. But where? We didn't know. The slow nightmare that followed grew worse by the hour. The second night passed, and morning came around. The gray and rainy day that dragged past. And then night came down again. Third night of the terror. Again, every light burned, and the whole ship seethed in the throes of incipient revolt. Faced by a horror they'd never met on the sea before, crew and officers alike were on the verge of panic. Passengers sat huddled in a trance-like stupor, ready to scream at the slightest unknown sound. At 7 bells, I made my way forward to the chart room and found Captain Wood bent over a desk.
Oh, hello, Christopher. Come on in, sit down.
Captain, it's got to be somewhere. It's got to be.
I don't know. You could search this ship for 6 months and never cover all the places aboard. If we can only hold out for 2 more days, we'll be in.
What does your home office say?
Here's the latest wireless from them. Keep quiet and keep coming. What else can we do? No cigarette?
Oh, yeah, thanks.
How's it below?
Oh, it's pretty bad. Anything could happen.
Yeah. That's why I took the guns away from the men. One pistol shot, we'd have a riot on our
The whole
hands.
thing's my fault, Captain Wood. That's what I can't forget.
Well, take it easy, lad.
If there was only some way I could pay for it myself alone.
No, I know how you feel, but it's no more your fault than mine or the man who asked you to bring that snake back alive. Nobody planned this. Well, go to the galley, get yourself some coffee, then you better try to get a little sleep.
The light was on in the steward's galley, and the coffee pot was standing on the stove. It was still warm, so I didn't even bother to heat it. I poured out a cup, carried it over, set it on the porcelain tabletop in the center of the room. I started to light a cigarette. The door of the pan cupboard beneath the sink was standing slightly ajar, and I happened to glance toward it. I dropped the cigarette and moved slowly backward. I'd found the Bushmaster. As I moved, the snake slid out of the cupboard in a single sinuous slide and drew back into a loose coil on the galley floor, never taking his eyes off me. I moved slowly back, waiting any moment for that deadly, slithering strike. 10 million years of evolution to produce this moment. Homo sapiens versus Lachesis mutus. A man against mute fate. And all the odds were on fate. I knew then I was going to die. I could feel the sweat run down between the wall and the palms of my hands pressing against it. My skin crawled and twitched, and the pit of my stomach was as cold as ice. There was no sound but the rush of blood in my ears. The snake shifted again, drawing into a tighter coil, always tighter. Why the devil didn't he get it over with? Then, for an instant, his head veered away. Something moved over by the stove. I didn't dare turn to look at it. Slowly, it moved into my line of vision. It was a cat. That scrawny cat that Mother Willis had sneaked aboard in La Guaira. Its back was arched, and every hair stood on end. It moved stiff-legged now, walking in a half-circle around the snake. The Bushmaster moved slowly and kept watching the cat. He tightened. He was going to strike at any second. He struck and missed. The cat was barely out of reach. Now, she was walking back and forth again. Oh, she was asking to die. Missed again. By a fraction of an inch. He was striking now without even going to a full coil. Missed. Again and again, always missing by the tiniest margin. Each time the cat danced barely out of reach, and each time she countered with one precise spat of a dainty paw, bracing her skinny frame on 3 stiff legs. And then suddenly I realized what she was doing. The Bushmaster was tiring, and one strike was just an instant slow. But in that split second, sharp claws raked across the evil head and ripped out both the lidless eyes. The cat had deliberately blinded that snake. He didn't bother to coil now, but slid after her in a fury, striking wildly but always missing. And every strike was a little slower than the last one, until finally, as the snake's neck stretched out at the end of a strike, the cat made one leap and sank her razor-sharp teeth just back of the ugly head. Sank them until they crunched bone. With tooth and claw, she clung as the monstrous snake flailed and lashed on the floor, striving to get those hideous coils around it, trying to break her hold, to shake off that slow and certain paralyzing death that gradually crept over him. And, at last, stilled his struggles forever. Oh, I took a deep breath. The first in minutes. The cat lay on her side on the floor, panting, resting from the fight just over. Oh, she had a right to rest. That brave, beautiful alley cat had just saved my life, and maybe others as well. But as I turned toward the stove, I suddenly became very humble, and I knew all at once What a small thing a human being really is. I and others aboard were still alive only by the merest accident. You see, there were 3 reasons why that cat had fought and killed the world's deadliest snake. And those 3 reasons came tottering out from under the stove on shaky little legs. 3 kittens with their eyes bright with wonder and their tails stiff as pokers. And up on the decks, hundreds of passengers were waiting for the news that terror was ended. Well, they could wait a little longer. I pulled open the doors of the cabinet, found a can of milk and a saucer. Then I dropped down on my knees.
Suspense.
You've been listening to A Shipment of Mute Fate, written for Suspense by Martin Storm. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Out of tune because of irregularity? Kellogg's All Bran helps put you back in tune. Kellogg's All Bran is the natural way, the good food way to end constipation caused by lack of bulk in your diet. There's only one All Bran, Kellogg's All Bran. Its whole bran content gentles away constipation, supplies your system with the bulk-forming food you need. Kellogg's All Bran is the only whole bran cereal to bring you the combination of proved effectiveness, appetizing taste, and crispness. It never gets mushy in milk. So get back in tune and stay in tune. It's easy with the one and only Kellogg's All Bran, ALL-BRAN. Safe, reliable, pleasant. Millions enjoy it every day. They know they can count on Kellogg's All Bran to relieve irregularity.
Heard in tonight's story were Bernard Grant as Chris and Inga Swenson as Mother Willis. Others included in the cast were Ralph Bell, Bob Dryden, Frank Thomas Jr., and Frank Milano. Listen again next week when we return with Horse Parley by Walter Black, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
One more pitch may do it. Judy Wood has been pitching a great game all afternoon. She's just about the best softball pitcher in the Women's League. Okay, she's ready. Strike 3! Man, oh man, what a pitch! Man, oh Manischewitz, what a wine! At the ballpark, not everybody gets the big cheers. But at home, everybody's wine is always cheered. It's Manischewitz. Man, oh man.
Man, oh Manischewitz, everybody's wine because it tastes so good.
Have you tried new Manischewitz fruit wines? It's just like drinking fruit itself. Serve them any time. Manischewitz fruit wines. 100% pure, specially sweetened.
Blackberry wine. Cherry wine. Loganberry wine.
Man, oh Manischewitz, everybody's wine because it tastes so good.
Manischewitz Wine Company, New York.
Radio 59 WROW. Radio 59 WROW, first on the dial.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
In just a moment, Horse Parley, written especially for Suspense by Walter Black.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Winston tastes good like a
cigarette should. Winston gives you real flavorful, rich tobacco flavor. Winston's easy drawing too. The flavor comes right through to you. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
A modern filter? Sure, Winston has it. But that's only the beginning of a Winston. Up front, up where it really counts, Winston packs exclusive filter blend. Light, flavorful tobaccos, specially selected and specially processed for filter smoking. Filter blend. That's why it's fun to smoke Winston, America's best-selling filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
It's me, Porco, Johnny Sheldon.
Hello, Johnny boy.
Your stooge tells me my credit's no good.
He tells it right, kid.
All right, so I'm a little behind.
You and me got different ideas about what's little. To me, $4,000 is very big.
Porco, I'm good for it. Look, I got a sure thing in the fifth at Belmont, 8-1. Lend me $500 and you have your money back.
If the nag wins. With your luck, she'll finish last. Anyway, there ain't going to be any more bets, kid, not until we straighten out this $4,000. You see, I don't own this joint. I just run it for some very big businessmen. You understand? They like to get paid on time.
I've always paid before.
Chicken feed. You've been losing heavy the past couple of weeks, and my bosses ain't happy with me for letting you get in so deep. And they especially ain't happy with you.
So let them sue me.
Oh, you better watch your lip, little man. Either we get that $4,000 or you get a real fancy working over.
All right. Can I use your phone?
Be my guest. I'll listen in if you don't mind. What are you dialing?
Long distance.
Goes on your bill.
Operator, I want Chicago, Diversey 27161. Yes, I'll wait.
Who's in Chicago?
My aunt.
She been footing your bills?
Yeah.
Wondered where your bankroll came from.
Yeah, she thinks I'm in New York to attend the conservatory. All right, don't look like that. When I was a kid, she wanted me to be a pianist. Never let up on me.
You any good?
Well, she thought I was. I never wanted any part of it, but when she suggested I come east to study, I took her up on it.
And she thinks you've been studying all this time?
Yes.
She gonna hold still for a $4,000 bite?
I have an angle. Hello?
Who's this?
It's me, Aunt Mita. Johnny.
John, is anything wrong?
No, I'm just excited, that's all. I have some terrific news for you.
Are you sure you're all right, dear?
Yeah, listen, Aunt Mita, you've heard of Arthur Rogowski, that fabulous teacher in Paris?
Yes, dear. Why? Is he in New York?
Well, not now, but he was. And he heard me play, and he's offered to let me study with him. It's the opportunity I've been waiting for. He almost never takes students anymore. Well, it would really put the finishing touches to my training, you know? And the only thing is, he wants me to join him in 2 weeks. And, well, he's very expensive.
How expensive, John?
Well, with plane fare, tourist class, and bare living expenses for 6 months, it's going to come to over $6,000.
You're quite an operator, kid.
John, dear, I guess you haven't received my letter yet.
What letter?
I'm lonesome, dear. I want you to come home. After all, I spent a considerable amount of money on your training already. Isn't it natural? I'd want to hear the results.
Well, if I can just have this 6 months with Rogowski, I'd have the polish I need.
It's been over 2 years, John. I think you progressed enough so that you could at least play for me.
Well, sure, Aunt Mita. I could send you a record.
I'm lonesome, my boy. I'd like to be with you.
But this is the opportunity of a lifetime.
Mr. Rogowski can wait a few more weeks, John. Don't you feel you owe me this much?
Well, yes, of course.
I'll send you the plane fare, dear. I'll expect you by Friday.
But, Aunt Mita, if you'd only... Yeah, she hung up.
Now what?
You tell me.
Okay. Fly back to Chicago, play her a tune, and get the dough.
I don't play well enough. She'd never fall for it.
Well, you figure something out. You got 4 weeks.
I could just get somebody to play for
She don't want no record. She said so.
Oh, no, I mean go back with me. You see, she's blind. She wouldn't know the difference.
Well, okay, hire somebody. Or, Better yet, what about that good-looking girlfriend of yours?
Oh, no.
Well, now, don't she play piano in that club?
I can't drag her into this. I wouldn't.
You ain't got any choice, Johnny boy.
So that's it, honey. Now you know everything there is to know about me. Makes a lovely picture, doesn't it?
Oh, I knew you were betting, but $4,000, Johnny. How'd you ever get in so deep?
Honey, you lose some, you figure you'll make it back in the next race. It just keeps building. And besides, what's the difference how? I'm in a spot, and Aunt Meta's the only one who can help get me out.
I'm not good enough to make your aunt think I've been studying classical piano for 2 years.
You were once, Eve. All it'll take is a little practice, and we have until Friday.
Oh, she'd know, Johnny. Even if she is blind, she'd know.
How? Honey, I take you back with me, introduce you as my fiancé. Then when she asks me to play, you sit down and start in. It'll be over quick, honey. Now listen, then I'll be able to pay Porco off.
Yeah.
Now, you'd like me to stop playing the horses, wouldn't you?
All right, Johnny, I'll go with you. I'll play for your aunt.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Bye, Joan. I'm heading for the ballpark. I'm late now.
Gil Hodges, look at the list of errands you've left for me to do again, and I'm so busy with spring cleaning.
I know, but it's spring cleaning time for the car, too. So please be sure to get the motor oil changed in the car and get a fresh Fram filter, too, honey.
A fresh Fram filter, Gil? What for?
To keep the oil clean. Dirt and sludge can ruin an engine. Nothing fills motor oil with sludge faster than the short runs you make, shopping and taxiing the children to school. Just take the car in and ask for a Fram.
A Fram? How will they know what I mean?
They'll know. More service stations sell Fram filters than any other brand. Nothing keeps oil clean like a Fram filter.
The Dodgers' popular first baseman, Gil Hodges, sure knows his filters. He knows how important it is to change oil filters at least every 5,000 miles. It's Fram for him, for you too. Fram filters.
Oh, here you are, driver. Well, welcome to the old homestead, Eve.
She lives here all alone?
That's the way she wants it, honey. Come on.
Johnny.
Huh?
Well, couldn't we... I mean, do we have
to fool her?
Yeah.
No, honey. We can tell her the truth, then she'll throw me out and we can go back to New York and face Brother Porco.
Oh, but isn't there some other way?
Honey, you think I haven't tried to think of one? I'm not proud of what I've done or what I am, Eve, but face it, life is a jungle. It's eat or be eaten. And my instinct for self-preservation is very, very strong.
But maybe she'd understand.
Well, here we are, Aunt Meta. And gosh, it's good to be home.
I'm so glad John brought you back home with him, Eve. I've worried about him for so long. It's nice to know he isn't alone.
Well, Eve's my fiancée, Aunt Meta, not my nurse.
Sometimes with men, it's the same thing, dear. Isn't that right, Eve?
I guess so.
You sound nervous, dear. You certainly don't have to be on my account.
Well, now, Aunt Meta, she wasn't sure that you'd approve of her.
Heavens, what a thought. Not approve of such a fine and lovely young lady.
Yeah, now there, what did I tell you, Eve? Aunt Meta can tell more without seeing than most people can with.
I'm looking so forward to hearing you play, John.
Yeah, well, later, Aunt Meta, we're kind of dragged out from the plane ride, you know?
Of course. It can wait until after dinner. Mm-hmm. Come along, Eve. I'll show you to your room. Sometimes I was afraid I was being too insistent about John's practicing, and yet, look how it's paid off.
Yes, sir. Look how it's paid off.
Sounds like one of those modern composers.
Huh? Oh, Dr. Hanna. Well, say, I didn't know you were there.
I let myself in. Privilege of long acquaintance. How are you, John?
Fine. Thank you. How are you, Doctor?
How have you been? Keeping well?
Oh, sure. Why not?
You look a little pale. Not enough sun, eh?
Well, I guess I have been sticking pretty close to the piano.
Of course.
Say, excuse my asking, Doctor, but you're here to see Aunt Mita, aren't you?
That, and I heard you were coming home today. I'd already planned to give her a checkup, so I guess you'd call it combining business with pleasure.
I see.
After all, I haven't seen you in some time.
How is she? I mean, how's her heart?
Well, John, so far, what's the saying? Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof.
Well, what's that supposed to mean?
Why borrow trouble? Let's hope we can both keep your aunt well and happy. No excuses, Mita. One capsule after every meal and one at bedtime. Is that understood?
All I want is a straight answer, Martin. How am I?
How do you feel?
Perfectly fit.
Then that's how you are. Now, take your nap, and I'll see you in a few days.
Is she, Doctor? Perfectly fit?
Well, she's not a young woman, John, of course, but with the proper attention, there's no reason why she can't live for a long time to come.
I see.
As long as no one does anything to upset her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, incidentally, how long since your last checkup?
Oh, I haven't any idea. Why?
Probably not since the last one I gave you before you left for New York.
Yes, I guess that's right.
How about one now, while I'm here?
Well, what for? There's nothing wrong with me.
Fine. It'll only take a few minutes, John, and it'll make your aunt feel better.
Oh, well, okay, Doctor.
Let's go into the study.
Well, Doctor, what's your prognosis?
The same one I gave your aunt.
Mm-hmm.
With care, there's no reason why you can't live for a long time to come.
Yeah, well, how long is a long time?
I left my crystal ball in the office, John. How long do you want it to be? Forever?
Oh, no, sir. Just until I'm 92.
In that case, get plenty of rest.
Yeah.
Cut down on your smoking and starchy foods, and go to bed every night at 9:30. Well, I'll be getting along. Take care of yourself, son.
Yes, you too, Doctor.
And remember, a little fresh air and some rest never hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Don't spend all your time at the piano.
Yeah, I'll try not to. So long.
Good luck, son. Don't bother seeing me out. Goodbye, Miss Lincoln. Nice to have met you.
Nice to have met you. Do you have to leave?
Afraid so. Take care of our boy.
Eve. What's the idea? Ask him if he had to leave. You sound as if you want him to stay.
I did. I don't want to go through with this, Johnny.
Well, then we won't.
Well, do we have to?
You know the alternative. Now, look, hadn't you better get in a little practice before she comes down to dinner?
I suppose so.
Well, come on now. Why not use that Chopin piece you used to play for me? It's one of his easier ones.
Anything you say.
Well, what are you waiting for?
A miracle, I guess.
Well, Aunt Mita?
I don't know what to say.
Oh. You mean it was that bad?
Oh, no, dear. It was beautiful. You have a surprisingly light, delicate touch.
Well, a combination of what Chopin demands and my years of practicing.
Did you like it, Eve?
Yes.
You're ready, John.
I'm ready. What do you mean?
I'm going to make arrangements for you to make your concert debut here in Chicago.
After the European study, you mean?
No, dear, now. I've talked with Emil Stock. He'll listen to you if I think you're ready. And I do. You can play for him next week.
I'm not that ready, Aunt Mita. I need the polish that Rogowski can give me.
Emil Stock's the finest judge of talent in the city, John. It's a tremendous opportunity.
Anita.
I'm tired now. I'm going to bed.
Well, that does it.
Oh, we can get along without the money, Johnny.
Maybe we can, honey, but Porco's syndicate can't.
Well, John, this is an unexpected pleasure.
Dr. Hanna, can you give me a few minutes?
It'll have to be a very few minutes. My next patient's due now. What is it?
Well, it's Aunt Mita. I'm concerned about her health. Now, please, doctor, tell me the truth. How is her heart?
Considering her age?
Yeah.
In very good shape.
Well, that's not saying anything.
I can't give you an exact prognosis, John. I'd be a charlatan if I did.
Yeah, but isn't there anything you can do for her?
I'm doing all I can.
Which is exactly nothing.
No. I'm prescribing drugs. I recommend rest and quiet.
Yeah, and then you sit back and wait for your patient to die, huh?
Thousands of people, John, die from heart attacks every year who never had a heart history at all. It could happen to you or me.
We're discussing Aunt Mita, Doctor. Could it happen to her?
Well, of course it could.
I suppose any sudden shock would be bad, wouldn't it? I mean, what can I do to help?
Now you've hit on it, son. Take care of yourself. That'll help your aunt more than anything else. Don't give her any cause to worry about you. You see, John, you mean everything to her.
Well, all it boils down to is she's got a bad heart, and she could die tomorrow, or live another 10 years. Every time I think of that Porco waiting for his money, I get scared to death. Scared to death. That's what I want her to be. Not me. And people do get scared to death. What have I got to lose? All right, it's either you or her, Johnny boy, and it sure isn't going to be you. Scared to death. The knife on my keychain. Cold steel against the soft part of her throat.
Who is it? Who's there? Is that you, John? Why are you keeping quiet? I'm not asleep. Eve? Is it you, dear?
I never realized before how small she really is. How helpless. Defenseless.
I can't smell any perfume. It's you, John, isn't it? Please, dear, don't stand there like that. What's the matter? Please, John, say something.
Oh, why can't you just die, Aunt Mita, so that I can live?
Johnny!
What? Eve! I can't breathe. Oh!
You've been at the piano almost 2 hours. Don't you think that's enough?
Okay. What do we do instead? Go dancing? Bowling? Long walk along the lakefront? It's crazy, isn't it? 3 weeks in the hospital and another 2 weeks back here, and I still can't get used to it. All along, I figured it was her heart that was weak.
And all along she was protecting me. Well, Aunt Meta's really got her wish now. All I can do now is play the piano. One thing I never wanted is the only thing I got left.
Oh, there you are, you two. How are you feeling, dear?
Oh, I'm all right.
Now, don't you forget you're supposed to lie down at 5 o'clock.
No, I won't forget.
Now, you mustn't be depressed, dear. Hundreds of thousands of people learn to live with their ailments.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole life's ahead of you.
I'm afraid not, Aunt Meta. You know, it just might be over.
Oh, you mean about the gambling debt? I've known about your gambling from the beginning, and Eve's told me about this man. If I pay Mr. Porco what you owe him, John, will you...
Will I pay you back? Sure. Aunt Meta, $1 down and $1 a week.
You didn't let me finish. Will you promise to practice and study your piano? Johnny?
You're heaping coals of fire on my head, Aunt Meta.
Oh, no, child. Quite the reverse. You see, ever since your attack, I've blamed myself. If I hadn't sounded so frightened, you wouldn't have been so startled when Eva came in the room. And after all, what did I have to be frightened about? What could I have possibly had to fear from you people?
Suspense. You've been listening to Horse Parley, written for Suspense by Walter Black. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Are you out of tune due to irregularity? Then help yourself get back in tune with Kellogg's All Brand. Pleasant, isn't it? The feeling of well-being you get when constipation from lack of bulk is no longer a worry. When harsh, irritating drug laxatives can be thrown away. Because Kellogg's All Brand is the normal, natural way to regularity. Its whole brand content gentles away constipation, supplies your system with the bulk-forming food you need for youthful regularity. And it tastes good, too. Fact is, Kellogg's All Brand is the one and only whole brand cereal that combines proved effectiveness with appetizing taste and crispness. So if you're out of tune, help yourself get back in tune as millions do with Kellogg's All Brand. ALL-BRAN. Kellogg's All Brand.
Heard in tonight's story were Jane Rose as Aunt Meta, Ellen McRae as Eve, Lyle Sudrow as Johnny, and Larry Haynes as Porco. Listen again next week when we return with Tonight at 5:55 by George Bamber. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
Radio 59 WROW, first on the dial.
Who was the first to conquer space? It's incontrovertible that the first to conquer living space is a Castro convertible. Who conquers space with fine design, who saves you money all the time, who stops in the convertible line. Castro convertible.
If you'd like furniture that combines beauty, comfort, and utility at an amazingly low price, then the place for you to go is Castro. At Castro, Route 9, a half-mile south of the Latham Circle, you'll see the world's largest and most beautiful display of convertible furniture. There are hundreds of exquisite sofas, love seats, and sectionals, ranging from early American and French provincial to ultra-modern. Each converts to the most comfortable bed, and each is priced amazingly low because Castro is America's largest manufacturer of convertible furniture, selling direct to you. Please remember, you cannot buy a Castro convertible anywhere but at a Castro showroom. Castro, Route 9, a half-mile south of Latham Circle. Open evenings. Radio 59, WROW. First on the dial, serving Albany, Troy, and Schenectady.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
In medieval times, in order to tell a tale of unmitigated horror and suspense, troubadours had to tell of the doing of witches, of werewolves and ghosts. But today, all that's changed. With the coming of science, nobody believes in werewolves anymore, and beside our electronic computers and nuclear energy, the shades of ghosts pale and fade. The setting of tonight's story is here. The time is now, and the most important member of the cast is you. Remember that. Remember that, then, as we listen to Tonight at 5:55 by George Bamber.
Chairman, there's something I'd like you to consider before we proceed any further.
Marine?
Yes, sir.
What time do you have?
17:30 hours, sir.
Make that read 17:32 exactly.
Yes, sir.
Take up a position of guard outside the door and lock it. No one is to enter or leave this room for the next 25 minutes under any circumstances. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Silence, gentlemen. Quiet, please. Quiet. We have a very urgent matter before the committee. One which we must make a recommendation on as quickly as possible. I have in my hand an official communiqué that just came over the wire 5 minutes ago. In effect, it is an ultimatum. They have given us 30 minutes to surrender or be destroyed.
What?
This is it, gentlemen.
What are you talking
We either
about?
surrender or die. This is the showdown. According to this cable, either we agree to throw ourselves open for occupation, or they promise to unleash a barrage of intercontinental missiles such as the world has never seen. As it stands now, we have less than 21 minutes and 30 seconds in which to decide what to recommend to the executive. Our time runs out at 5:55. I don't believe it. There it is. Read it for yourself.
Let me see that.
It's true.
I still don't believe it.
Gentlemen, this is of essence. Time. We must decide what we're going to do and do it quickly.
Have our forces been alerted?
Yes. The executive office issued a top priority alert as soon as the wire came in. At this moment, all available aircraft are taking off armed with missiles carrying nuclear warheads. At our missile bases here and overseas, crews are standing by ready to go into countdown. Of course, everyone thinks it is a routine practice alert to avoid panic. But they are fully armed and will attack in earnest the minute he gives the word, should we recommend it.
Then by all means attack. Attack now while we still have a chance.
Mr. Williams, this advisory group was formed because the decision to attack was considered too grave a responsibility for one man to take upon himself. If we recommend attack at all, it will only be by common agreement. Yes, Dr. Harris.
I hesitate to point out that any such attack without first being attacked would be against policy and tradition.
Their wire is essentially the same as an attack.
A mere telegram is hardly the same thing.
Dr. Harrison, the days when one nation assaulted another by throwing an army at the coastline are over. In modern warfare, a nation can be completely wiped out in 30 minutes. We must attack now while we have the ability.
May I point out that some reports indicate that they have a missile superiority of 3-1.
Reports have been wrong before.
But if they are right and we fire 100 missiles and cancel one of theirs for every one of ours, that would still leave 200 missiles for them to answer with.
I'm not talking about sheer number of missiles. I'm talking about bases. The more bases we destroy, the fewer missiles they have. I know of cases where they have as many as 20 missiles stockpiled at one base.
Suppose we knocked out a base for every one of our missiles. Reports indicate they still have twice as many launching pads as we.
Intelligence is not infallible. I personally can recommend several occasions in the last war when they grossly exaggerated.
Well, I believe they're more reliable than your
Gentlemen, please. Now, this cannot degenerate into a mere clash of personalities. If we're to decide anything, it must be done quickly and without emotion. Mr. Tice, do you have anything to add to what's been said?
Yes, I wonder if I might use the phone.
Why?
I'd like to call my wife. She's in Washington, and it is most certain to be one of their key targets. If I warn her now, she could jump in the car.
I'm sorry, no.
But in 20 minutes, she could be well clear of the blast area.
Mr. Tice, I have been instructed to keep this information within the confines of this room, for the simple reason that others would feel exactly as you. Each person would have one other he wants to tell. In no time, the highways would be jammed with speeding cars. And in the panic to escape, the traffic fatalities alone would be incalculable.
But this is my
wife. If
wife.
it would make you feel any better, Mr. Tice, I could have had my own family in a plane headed for another continent. But I resisted that temptation. We're all in this together.
Aren't you going to tell the people?
They will be told in time.
But they must be told now. All they want is a chance to escape.
You can't escape nuclear warfare by running.
Some of them could. Maybe not all, but some of them would.
Gentlemen, surely you're not so distraught that you've forgotten the basic facts of nuclear warfare? Certainly some will escape the immediate blasts. Most of those living in the more desolate parts of the country will. But they will still have to survive radioactive fallout. The only ones who will survive both blast and fallout will be the ones with underground shelters. And there will be 20 minutes from the time the first missile appears on our early warning screens until the first impact. Plenty of time to warn the people with shelter to go to it and not give panic any more time to wreak destruction than it already has. Gentlemen, the people will be warned. Shall we proceed?
All those people just sitting there, waiting.
My wife. My poor wife.
We have exactly 17 minutes until 5:55. Shall we proceed?
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Do you have an air conditioner? Do you have a forced air furnace? If you do, you need to change filters regularly, twice a year at least. When you change, get new Fram Permachem-treated air filters. New Fram, F-R-A-M, Permachem-treated air filters. A revolutionary new development of the world's leading filter manufacturer, these new Fram air filters trap and hold more dirt, dust, pollens, and other airborne irritants than ordinary filters. But even more important, they are the only filters which contain Permachem, the permanent germicidal chemical which kills 99+% of all germs trapped. Keep the air in your home hospital clean with new Fram Permachem-treated air filters. They're guaranteed by Good Housekeeping magazine. Ask your dealer for the brand new Fram Change-It-Yourself filter kit that fits all room air conditioners, or have your serviceman change filters for you.
I still say attack now while they don't expect it. The more we destroy now, the less they can hurt us later on.
The American people will authorize the use of their armed might for nothing but retaliation.
If we don't attack now, there can be no retaliation.
We'll have plenty of time before the missiles arrive.
By that time, it won't matter anymore.
Gentlemen, please, gentlemen. Now, we're not going to accomplish anything with heated argument. Before we became embroiled, I I believe Dr. Harrison was speaking.
Thank you, Ed. Gentlemen, I believe there's one question we've lost sight of in all this argument, and that is whether they have any intention of attacking us at all.
What? Well, of course they do.
We have the paper right here. We have a cablegram that came over the official wire, no more. Now, since that time, there's been nothing but silence, no confirmation, nothing. I, for one, seriously doubt if they have any intention of launching a full-scale nuclear attack on us now or ever.
Completely irresponsible. Gentlemen, please. Let Dr. Harrison finish.
Before we worry about a nuclear Armageddon, we must first ask ourselves, what do they want? Now, the answer is obvious: world domination. The next question is, if we stand in the way, why didn't they send the missiles instead of the note? Again, I think the answer is obvious. They want to capture us, not destroy us. Here, we must ask ourselves, what profit a man to conquer the whole world if he lose his own soul?
What are you driving at? Yes, Dr. Harrison, please be brief. We have only 14 minutes and 22 seconds.
Well, suppose we don't surrender, and they carry through with their threat. What would happen? Now, it is estimated that it would take a total of 300 IBM and intermediate-range missiles to put us out of action. Do you know what that many megatons of nuclear explosives would do to a country of this size? Population centers would be heaps of concrete and steel ash. A huge cloud of radioactive filth would blanket the earth, dropping out thousands of tons of radioactive death, killing off what little population we had left, polluting the hills and streams and even the grass, so that this great nation, the world's most productive and richest consumer market, would become a radioactive wasteland. A dark continent where even the natural resources are inaccessible.
We are all well aware of the effects of radioactive fallout.
Yes, but that's only what will happen if we sit here and do nothing. But we know we won't do that. As soon as the first enemy missile breaks over our horizon, we will unloose a missile to answer it. The 300 will be multiplied by 2, making 6, possibly 7 or 800 thermonuclear explosions. The cloud blanketing this country will have a sister cloud over theirs, and the 2 radioactive clouds will drift eastward, raining death and destruction as they go. Gentlemen, an all-out nuclear attack would mean suicide to them as well as to us, and they have no intention of committing suicide.
And why do they send the cable?
Because they're gambling. I consider this cable to be no more than a bluff, as if this were no more than a huge international poker game. And they're trying to get us to fold without calling their hand.
We don't have to call. We know what they've got.
Yes, but we're not sure what they're going to do with it. That's what they're gambling on. I say if we stand pat, ignore their ultimatum. When 5:55 comes, the only thing that will happen will be a routine reopening of communications and perhaps an official apology for the inexperienced clerk who created the cable for a joke and sent it by accident.
Preposterous. This is international politics, not poker.
Yes, the stakes are higher. They're gambling that they can capture the most powerful nation in the world without risking a single man, without firing a single shot.
Now, just a minute. Suppose what you say is true. How do they know that their cablegram won't jar us into the very thing you say they want to avoid, a panic retaliation?
We haven't yet.
That doesn't mean we won't.
That's the safest part of their gamble. To do so would be suicide. The odds that we will commit suicide are about 50 million to 1.
I object to having something as serious as this reduced to the level of mere chance, a simple game of suicidal survival.
But there, the odds are only 5 to 1. They're natural gamble.
Oh, this is preposterous.
Gentlemen.
This is a waste.
I'm moving. Gentlemen, please. Now, whether you agree or not with Dr. Harrison's theories concerning their motivation in sending this cable, I think you must agree with one thing: his estimate of what we will do in the present circumstance. To order a nuclear attack before we are sure we are under attack would not only be out of keeping with American tradition, it would be suicidal. The moment the first missile breaks above our horizons, we will have no recourse but to answer that attack. But until that moment comes, we can only watch and wait and be prepared. If there's no further objection, I will phone the executive office of our recommendation.
Yes, sir?
This is Advisory 1. Put me through to command at once.
Yes.
In a moment, we will return for the third act of Suspense.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. Winston gives you real flavor, full, rich tobacco flavor. Winston's easy drawing too. The flavor comes right through to you. Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
A modern filter? Sure, Winston has it. But that's only the beginning of a Winston. Up front, up where it really counts, Winston packs exclusive filter blend. Light, flavorful tobaccos, specially selected and specially processed for filter smoking. Filter blend. That's why it's fun to smoke Winston, America's best-selling filter cigarette.
Winston tastes good like a cigarette should.
What time is it? 5:46 and 45 seconds.
What do you suppose they're doing?
I don't know.
Mr. Chairman, if you please, I'd like to be with my wife.
I'm sorry.
But what more good am I here? We've already made up our minds. If I leave now, there's still a chance that I can get to her.
We'll know what is going to happen at 5:55. You can leave then. Not before. Yes?
Monitoring stations overseas report negative, sir.
Nothing.
All stations went off the air 25 minutes ago.
How about the overseas radio service? Have they got any news report?
I don't know, sir. Let me check that.
They're definitely up to something. We knew that when we got the cable down.
I say we must attack now.
Hello, sir.
Yes, quiet, please. Go ahead.
Overseas radio service off the air.
Do we have any intelligence reports at all?
I don't know. I'll have to check and call back.
Very good.
How much more evidence do you need? They've captured the entire continent. It'll only be a matter of moments before they begin their attack on us.
The silencing of ORS means nothing. It could be nothing but a precautionary measure on our part. I'll turn on the monitor. That'll keep us in constant touch with our Mid-Continent Operations Center.
Early warning systems report negative. Satellite monitoring report negative. All skies are clear. Stand by for further information.
There, you see?
Yes, the calm before the storm. I demand that we do something stronger than merely recommend. If necessary, we should supersede executive authority and take matters into our own hands.
Mr. Williams, the command to attack can come only from one man, and it will be taken only from him. I'm sure that he will give no such order until the first missile breaks over our horizon. Until that time, I suggest you sit down and wait.
In just a moment, we will return for the concluding act of Suspense. Thirsty people everywhere prefer ice-cold Pepsi-Cola. And because it's light, it refreshes without filling.
Charlie, Be sociable.
I am, Kay. Pepsi is a favorite of thirsty people from Maine to Hawaii, from Alaska to Florida.
Charlie.
It's perfect for parties or picnics, so serve Pepsi to your guests.
That's helpful, but...
This is the sociable part. Keep plenty of Pepsi ice cold and ready. Remember, it goes fast because everybody likes Pepsi.
Singing still sounds more inviting. May I? Be sociable, look smart, keep up to date with Pepsi. Drink light, refreshing Pepsi. Stay young and fair and debonair. Be sociable, have a Pepsi.
But singing doesn't say, pick up an extra carton of Pepsi today. Better yet, get a case.
You do that.
The mathematical probability.
There's no time for mathematical probabilities. This is war.
There is no war until the first shot has been fired. And that has not happened. And if it does happen, I'm sure we will be the first to be notified. Yes?
It's your wife, sir.
You know better than to put through a call like that.
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but she said you left orders to be called at work no matter what. It seems it's your granddaughter's birthday, and you gave her permission to call you on the telephone. 45 seconds to signal.
Very well. Put her on.
Grandpa?
Hello, Patty.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
No. Happy birthday, Patty. Today's your birthday. Is Grandma there?
Yes.
30 seconds to signal.
Well, look, Patty, Grandpa's very busy now. Would you give Grandma a kiss for me and then hang up?
Yes.
Goodbye, Patty.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
15 seconds.
Anything new?
The sky is clear on all horizons.
Well, all we can do now is watch and wait. And hope.
10 seconds to 0. At the signal, it will be 5:55 exactly. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Suspense.
You have been listening to Tonight at 5:55, written for Suspense by George Bamber. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Are you all out of tune because you're irregular? Then help yourself get back in tune with Kellogg's All Brand. You'll feel right on pitch when Kellogg's All Brand goes gently to work. Relieves constipation due to lack of bulk by supplying your system with bulk-forming whole bran. Yes, a daily bowl full of Kellogg's All Brand with milk helps put you right back in tune. The natural way. The good-tasting way, too. Fact is, Kellogg's All Bran is the one brand cereal that combines proved effectiveness with appetizing taste and crispness. It never gets mushy in milk. So remember, if constipation's a problem, gentle it away, as millions do, with Kellogg's All Bran. The good food way to keep regular as clockwork. ALL-BRAN. Kellogg's All Bran. At your grocer's.
Tonight's story were Louis Van Rooten as the chairman, Ralph Camargo as Harrison, John Gibson as Tice, Whitfield Connor as Williams, Bob Reddick as Stidis, Larry Robinson as the Marine, and Francie Myers as Betty. Listen again next week when we return with One More Shot by William N. Robeson. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
Good evening. This is Richard C. Huttelet with news analysis. Easter Sunday is an odd time indeed to note the birthday of Nikita Sergeyevich Khrushchev. But there he stands, 66 years old today, a reality with which this generation must cope. He has set himself up in competition with the Christian ethic. In place of redemption through sacrifice, which is perhaps the central tenet of Christianity, Khrushchev advocates satisfaction through obedience. Even those who are sure that eternal religious values will prevail and that communism is a passing thing find themselves compelled to meet its challenge in much of their daily existence. That this should be so is due in large measure to the little man who now begins a new year of life. Nikita Khrushchev has pictured himself as one who has grown to fit the office he holds. Certainly, there was no visible aura of greatness around him when I worked in Moscow shortly after the war. Even traveling around the Ukraine, of which he was then boss, one saw him as no more than a tough, competent administrator. What was not apparent immediately when he rose to the top after the death of Stalin was the degree to which he contributed to his own success. He was no intellectual giant to command respect as a Marxian theorist, nor was he an old revolutionary. Khrushchev was an ice-cold, practical politician who had clawed his way to the top. He had learned how to fight, to intrigue, to wait, and to survive, and that is the man he is today. When theory suits his purpose, he spouts theory, like self-determination and coexistence. But he drowned the Hungarian rebellion in blood and applauded the Chinese doing the same in Tibet. In moving to the top, he condemned Stalin's personality cult and preached collective leadership. Then he picked off his opponents one by one, Malenkov, Molotov, Kaganovich, Zhukov, Bulganin, until he is now the sole ruler of the Soviet state. Stalin could hold Russia in check through the weight of his prestige and the cruelty of his police machine. In his last years after the war, the Soviet Union became an outcast among nations. Its foreign activities were naked terror, bloody purges in Eastern Europe, the Berlin blockade, the Korean War. At home, it was stagnant, over-centralized, muscle-bound. When Khrushchev took over, he could not have continued Stalin's policy even if he had wanted to. As a practical man, he had to ride the forces of change that burst out all over. And this he has done, following no ideological formula, but only his healthy instinct for power. Russia needs more food, so he took a gigantic gamble in plowing up 90 million acres of virgin land where rainfall is uncertain. He liquidated the state's motor tractor stations and gave the peasants the incentive to produce. He decentralized industry to slip off the straitjacket of top-heavy planning and dissolved the old internal empire of the secret police. He has appealed for the support of the growing technical and managerial class, given it a slogan and an effort that appeals to pride, patriotism, greed, and ambition. Catch and surpass the United States. Khrushchev does not tolerate political freedom, much less opposition. He has the means of iron control. But his hand is not as heavy as Stalin's, and he has given his people a razzle-dazzle show of success. His Sputniks led man into space. His 7-year plan has the economy booming, even providing more consumers' goods. he has organized the satellites in a rational economic system and embarked on a long-range program of penetration in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. He turns crises on and off, arranges trips around the world, and sets the terms on which a summit conference convenes. Today, at the peak of his career, unrestrained by any constitutional checks and balances, unhampered by political opposition or public hostility, he is probably the most powerful individual in the world. Alert, shrewd, resourceful, bursting with energy, he is also a ham actor and a stage manager par excellence. These are the qualities with which he has seized the initiative in the Soviet Union and in his dealings with the West. It is not that he has a superior creed or even that he necessarily follows a communist doctrine. His advantage stems largely from the confusion and lethargy of his Western opponents, particularly where Christian peoples have found it convenient to abandon Christian principles and where the Easter message of sacrifice as the means of redemption falls on deaf ears. This is Richard C. Hottelet, recorded in Washington.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
Don't save once, save twice. Don't pay more, pay less. Get your king-size deal right now at King Cadillac Oldsmobile, 809 State Street, Schenectady. Here's how to save twice. Buy a new 1960 Oldsmobile at King Cadillac Oldsmobile and you buy it for less. Trade your old car at King Cadillac Oldsmobile and you trade it for more. It means double savings for you. Buy your new 60 Oldsmobile right now and King gives you a book of 12 lubrication coupons. That's a year's free lubrication for your new King Olds. King Cadillac Oldsmobile makes it oh so easy to own the Oldsmobile you've always wanted. You pick the King credit plan tailored just for you. Save 2 ways right now and get those free lubrication coupons. King Cadillac Oldsmobile with new Cadillacs, new Oldsmobiles, and 75 tested used cars at 809 State Street, Schenectady. Open daily till 9, Saturdays till 6. It's a king-size invitation for you.
Radio 59 WROW, the news station for the Tri-Cities.
Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Today's story, One More Shot, written for Suspense by William N. Robeson.
Hold it, please. One more shot. Thank you. Here you are, Bobby. Take this plate with the others and get them into the office pronto.
Sure thing, Dad.
That's my son, Bobby, learning the newspaper photography business from the ground up. He's my courier. He rushes the plates from the field into the office. 2 things Bobby and I like more than anything else are cameras and motorcycles. That's why I asked to cover this cycle race. That was the winner I just photographed, just in time for the early evening edition, if Bobby makes the office in time. He didn't. Bobby never got to the office at all. He went off the highway at Coleman's grave. He was dead when the police arrived. A victim of too much speed, they said. Just another traffic accident. But I didn't believe it. Bobby was too good a driver. He was too careful. So I did some investigating on my own. And then I went to see my friend, Sergeant Quad, in homicide.
I checked it out with traffic, Bernie. It was just another unfortunate accident.
It was not an accident, Quad. It was murder.
Look, Bernie, I can understand how upset you are. I know what it must mean to you.
Do you? Well, there's one thing you don't know.
What's that?
Where are the exposed photographic plates?
What plates?
The ones I gave Bobby to take to the office. They weren't in the saddlebag of his cycle when they found him, were they?
No.
Of course they weren't. That's why Bobby was run off the road. Somebody wanted those pictures. Bad enough to murder for them.
Who?
How do I know?
Well, it's fantastic.
Maybe it is, but the fact is he left that field with 4 photographic plates, and they were gone when his body was found.
Well, who were the pictures of?
I can't remember. Winners of races, officials. That's not important now. The first thing is we got to find Bob who ran Bobby off the road.
You're sure he was run off the road?
Are you sure he wasn't?
No.
Then will you go back and look over the scene of the accident with me?
Okay, Bernie. This much I'll do for you.
So we went back to the scene of the accident on Coleman's grade. At this point, the curve was too gradual for the most inept driver to go off the road. I walked up the hill, my eyes glued to the pavement, until I found what I was sure would be there. Hey, Quad, look at this. See
what?
here? Look, by the curve. Flakes of green paint.
Yeah, so?
Bobby's bike was painted black. So Quad collected the tiny flecks of green paint in an envelope, and he promised to have the police chemist analyze them. Then we went back to the police garage, where what was left of Bobby's wrecked motorcycle was piled in the corner. I thought so.
What, Bernie?
Look here on the handlebar.
Smudge of green paint. Could be the same.
Looks like it.
All right, we'll check it out. Hey, look here. Wedged in the frame. Kick pedal.
Motorcycle has only one, Quad. This one has two. Extra pedals off an English BSA. Well, what do you think now?
Looks like you got something, Bernie.
I mean, it looks like my son was run off the road by an English BSA painted green.
Yeah, it does.
But who was driving that bike, and why did he do it?
I don't know, Bernie. But I'm sure going to try to find out.
While Quad was running down the paint shops to find one that might have repainted a green BSA, in the part sellers to find who sold a new BSA kick pedal, I had my work cut out for me. I rounded up all the pictures that were shot by all the press photographers of the motorcycle meet at Mills Field. At last, Quad found a man who had painted a green BSA blue and another one who had sold a BSA kick pedal. And we brought them into headquarters to look at the blow-ups of the pictures. They went over each one carefully, examining each face in the crowd with a magnifying glass. Finally...
Yeah, this is him, Sergeant.
Where?
Here. Yeah, this is the guy that had me paint his cycle.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Mr. Morris? This looked like the man who bought a new kick pedal from you?
Yeah. That looks like him, all right.
Well, Bernie, this seems to be your man. Take a look.
Yeah, this is a long shot of the whole infield taken by Johnny Jones from the press box.
Mm-hmm.
See, here I am, side, just snapping a picture.
Yeah, I noticed that. Now, wait a minute. Standing next to the suspect these gentlemen have indicated. You recognize who that is?
Which one?
One in the Mickey Cohen hat, sports shirt buttoned at the neck, no tie.
Oh, yeah.
Did he look familiar to you?
Well, the Rocco Malatesta.
That's what I thought. How come you're taking his picture?
I wasn't. They were all gathered around the winner of the race, the kid in front. I was taking his picture.
And Rocco was in the shot, and he didn't want to be, so he sent the punk standing next to him to see that your boy never got the plates to the paper.
But why? Why?
Because Rocco doesn't want anyone to know he's back in town, that's why. At least he don't want to advertise the fact in the paper.
Well, what's he doing at a motorcycle meet in broad daylight? That's the first time he's been in the sunlight since he graduated from grade school.
Motorcycle meet. Motorcycles. Of course, that's it.
What?
These motorcycle raids. We've been having an epidemic of them. One night, a cycle club wrecks a tavern on the south side. A few days later, another club demolishes a drive-in over in the east end. Half a dozen of them in the last month, all demanding protection money. All different clubs. Didn't make any sense until right now.
You mean with Rocco behind it, it would?
It might. But, like everything else about Rocco, how are you going to prove it?
Well, anyway, we're not looking for Rocco. We're looking for this creep standing beside him. The one who killed Bobby.
We'll find him, Bernie, if we have to shake down every cycle club in town.
No, this isn't the way to do it, Quad.
What do you mean?
You might scare him off. Let me do it.
You do it? How?
I used to be a pretty hot rider. Let me get a cycle and join a club. I'll find this murderer for you. I got more reason to than you have.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Whitey? Gonna throw a few fast Whitey Ford curves?
Not now. It's spring and my car's got a date at the service station.
Hello, Mr. Ford. In for that spring oil change?
Right. And it's time for a fresh Fram oil filter. Better check my engine air filter, too.
Will do, Mr. Ford.
Say, you believe in taking good care of your car, eh, Whitey?
You bet. The car needs regular oil changes and a fresh Fram filter every 5,000 miles.
Well, why a new filter every 5,000 miles, Whitey?
Because stop-and-go driving can load your oil fast with sludge and do real engine damage.
Maybe I'd better get fresh filters for my car.
Positively, and I suggest Fram filters.
All set, Mr. Ford. Oh, I replaced your dirty engine air filter with a new Fram, too.
The great Yankee pitcher Whitey Ford has the right pitch on filters. He's set for spring with a fresh Fram oil filter and a Fram air filter, too.
So me, Bernie, I go underground. I put on cycle boots, a black leather jacket, and a cap so close to a motor cop's cap as the law allows. And I hung around the motorcycle clubs and the rallies and joints, and everywhere I make friends. And I always show them a picture of the murder suspect, enlarged from the tiny image on the original photo. For a long time, nobody recognizes it. Until one day, at a hill climb.
Well, it's hard to tell. I mean, the picture's so fuzzy like.
Yeah, I know, it's not a very good shot, but at least you ought to be able to tell whether you know him or not.
Well, yeah, he looks a little familiar.
How familiar?
Well, he looks something like Big Red.
Big Red who?
Just Big Red. I mean, I never heard his last name.
You know where he lives?
He's South Sider, I think.
You know who he rides with?
Yeah, the Dolphins, I think. I don't know him very good.
Dolphins. Are they out here today?
Yeah, I think I saw one of them around.
Okay, thanks.
Listen, I'm sorry I couldn't help you out.
Well, that's okay. You did just fine. Well, Quad, there's no doubt about it. He's the suspect. Big Red's his name. Believe me, it was all I could do to keep from riding him down with my bike, the way he rode my boy down.
And what would that prove?
Oh, nothing, I suppose. But I want you to pick him up. I want to see him pay for what he did.
Just a minute, Bernie. What would that prove?
Justice, that's what.
There's more at stake here than one crazy punk.
What?
The whole mob. Rocco himself.
That's a police problem. I'm only interested in...
You said justice, huh? Don't you mean vengeance?
No, certainly not.
I wonder. Bernie, look at it this way, huh? This, what's his name, Big Red, was only a murder weapon, really, an instrument. Rocco gave the order. Rocco was really the man who killed your son. And unless we get Rocco, we've got nothing but a gunsel. Don't you see? Big Red can lead us to Rocco.
You can find Rocco if you want to. You got plenty of informers.
Of course we can find him. We can even pick him up for a few hours. But we can't hang anything on him. Now, with luck, we can use Big Red to implicate Rocco, don't you see?
Yeah, I guess I do.
So, look, I mean, you've done just fine. You've identified Big Red for us. Now, let us take it from there, huh, pal?
Okay, Quad. She's all yours. I told Sergeant Quad everything. Well, almost everything. I guess it was the desire for vengeance, like he said. Whatever it was, I wanted Big Red for myself. So I didn't tell Quad that I had heard Red call a meeting with the Dolphins for 9 o'clock that night. Or that I knew where the Dolphins clubhouse was. The Dolphins clubhouse was dark when I got there, a little after 9. I let myself quietly into the place through a back window. Flashed my light around. It was in sort of a big closet. And suddenly my light showed up the answer to the motorcycle vandal raids that Quad had been worrying about. Here, carefully hanging on racks, were duplicate uniforms of half a dozen of the best-known and most respectable cycling clubs in town. My examination of the club's wardrobe was cut short by the arrival of Big Red and a half dozen of his bully boys. I pushed back toward the wall, hiding behind the farthest row of uniforms.
What are we going to hit tonight, Red?
Alabas wants the Northside Car Wash persuaded.
Is that the big one on Henderson Boulevard?
That's it.
Yeah, what uniform we wearing?
How about the Pelicans?
My heart stopped. I was hiding behind the rack which held the Pelican jackets.
No, we went as Pelicans last time. No use giving them guys too bad a name.
All right, then. How about the Dragons?
Okay. We haven't complimented the Dragons for a long time.
Didn't take them long to change into the helmets and jackets of the Dragons. 5 minutes after they arrived, they were roaring off again. There was a payphone in the corner, and I used it to call Sergeant Quad.
You promised me you'd let us handle it from here on in,
Yeah, that's just what I'm doing, Quad.
All right. You say they're going to hit the north side car wash on Henderson Boulevard.
That's right.
Okay, we'll be out there and stop them.
I'll meet you there.
Bernie, will you please stay out of this now and let us handle it?
Yeah, sure, Quad. I'm through playing cop. I'll be there just to get the pictures for the press.
Yeah, well, how are you going to get there?
I'm going as a dragon. I quickly found a jacket and helmet that fit me, and I caught up with the phony Dragons before they'd gotten a mile away. They were riding along the freeway in column formation. I slipped in between the last two riders. They looked at me curiously. I smiled at them. They shrugged. After all, I was wearing a dragon uniform. Motorbikes roared into the north side car wash from all sides. The manager saw them coming, saw there was no escaping them. Big Red started for him, then realized he had a ringer in his ranks. He walked up to me.
Who are you?
There he stood, this insolent, brutal punk. My son's murderer, not a foot from me. So close I could reach out and grab him by the throat. I could kill him with my bare hands. The hate and fury welled up in me. And I remembered the other one, the big one we were after, Rocco. I got hold of myself. I tried to look innocent.
I said, who are you?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Rocco sent me.
What's that you say?
Said Rocco sent me.
I don't know no Rocco.
He said I should make a report on how good you do your job.
Yeah? Well, how do I
Hey,
know
what's
that you...
the idea? Get them cycles off this property.
I'll talk to you after I finish the job.
Yeah, you do that. I'll still be here.
You, the boss here?
Yeah, I said get them cycles out of here.
I heard you.
Well, get them out of here. We don't wash cycles, only cars.
Like I know, Pop, and you got a good business here. Like, maybe you want to keep it that way?
What do you mean?
Insurance, like. You pay a little each week, and nothing happens to upset your business.
The old protection racket.
I said insurance, Pop.
I won't pay you a cent.
Oh, I think you will. Don't you, Shorty?
Yeah.
Shorty hurled a wrench through the window of a sedan slowly moving down the wash rack. As the hot water and soap poured into the car, the rest of the mob went to work. Switchblade knives slashed through the tops of expensive convertibles. Windshields were smashed. Tires slashed. The place was becoming a shambles when the scream of sirens put a stop to the vandals. As they headed for their cycles in a frantic attempt to get away, I caught up with Sergeant Quad, who was just drawing his gun. Hold it, Quad. That's Red.
All right, come on, then. Let's follow him. Maybe he'll lead us to Rocco.
I'm sure he will.
In just a moment, we will return for the concluding act of Suspense.
Talk about best-selling records. Here's a familiar tune about America's best-selling filter cigarette, Winston. Winston gives you real flavor, full, rich tobacco flavor. And you know, that's because only Winston has filter blend up front. Choice, flavorful tobaccos, specially selected and specially processed for filter smoking. No wonder Winston tastes good, like a cigarette should. Smoke Winston.
Yeah?
This is Red, boss.
I told you never to use this.
Unless I was in a jam. Well, I am.
What kind of a jam?
The fuzz.
What happened?
We rode down that car wash, like you told me to, but But somebody tipped off the cops that were there 3 minutes after we got there.
Any idea who did it?
Did you send anybody to check up on me?
Huh? Why'd I do that?
I had a ringer riding with me. He was the stoolie then.
What are you talking about?
I'll fill you in when you pick me up.
Me pick you up?
If you don't, the cops will.
Where are you?
I'm talking from a gas station at 61st and Humboldt. I'll be waiting at the corner for you.
You got your bike, ain't you? Get on it and get out of there.
Anybody on a cycle tonight that gets picked up for questioning. And you wouldn't want me to be questioned, would you?
I thought I could count on you.
You can. If you come down here and pick me up.
I oughta...
You ought to pick me up if you know what's good for you.
Look here, you...
Listen, boss, I don't mind doing anything you tell me to do. I don't mind doing your dirty work for you. There's only one thing I do mind, and that's taking your rap for you. This I will not do.
Stay there. I'll be right down.
That's being smart, boss.
Patrol car coasted into the curb in the shadows across the intersection from the darkened gas station. Sergeant Quad and I watched silently as Big Red slowly hung up. The foam came out of the boot. We watched as he wheeled his cycle behind the gas station. We watched as he came back a moment later without his cycle jacket or his helmet. It stashed him in the back along with his bike.
There's no doubt about it. He's waiting for a pickup.
Rocco?
Let's hope. Hand me that microphone, will you?
Here.
Thanks. Car 3 to station.
Go ahead, Car 3.
Car 3 at corner of 61st and Humboldt. Send 2 more cars into this area on standby.
Roger, Car 3.
But under no circumstance are they to cruise past this intersection. Repeat. Under no circumstance are they to cruise past this intersection. Understand?
Affirmative, Car 3.
Thank you. Car 3 out.
We sat in the deep shadows of the spring night and waited and watched Red under the street lamp. He didn't look like a killer at all. At this distance, he might even be Bobby standing there or any other kid waiting for a bus. He kept looking up and down the street. And finally, he saw a car coming he seemed to recognize. He stepped into the street. The car came toward him, but it didn't slow down. It picked up speed. And finally, it was on him. Before the kid could jump back onto the curb, the big sedan swerved toward him, sent him careening across the sidewalk. Then it jumped the ramp, cut across the gas station, and roared off down the boulevard. The driver kicked the siren open, and we dug out in pursuit. Quad grabbed the microphone.
This is Car 3. Sergeant Quad and Car 3. We are following suspect south on 61st at high rate of speed. Intercept.
We weren't gaining on the suspect, but we weren't losing them either. Quad pulled out his service revolver.
Hold it steady, Mort.
You think you can hit him at this distance?
I can try to hit something.
You bet. You got his rear tire.
Yeah, and there's a prowl car blocking him at the next intersection. He's had it.
The suspect car zigzagged crazily from its blown-out tire, and the driver jammed on the brakes to avoid hitting the prowl car ahead. He went into a screeching skid and ended up wound around a light pole. The driver was pinned behind the steering wheel, bleeding but still conscious. It was Rocco Malatesta.
Gee, you cops go to a lot of trouble to make a speeding case.
No, not this time, Rocco. This is one ticket you can't fix. This is murder.
What are you talking about?
Hit and run murder before witnesses.
Yeah, we'll see about that. How about getting me out of here?
But first, just hold that pose.
Hey, what is this? You coppers carry newspaper photographers with you on the prowl car?
Well, not usually, Rocco, but this photographer's special. You know, Rocco, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here.
What?
Hold it. Just like that. For one more shot.
Suspense.
You've been listening to One More Shot, written for Suspense by William N. Robeson. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Out of tune because of irregularity? Kellogg's All Bran helps put you back in tune. Kellogg's Kellogg's All Bran is the natural way, the good food way to end constipation caused by lack of bulk in your diet. There's only one All Bran, Kellogg's All Bran. Its whole bran content gentles away constipation, supplies your system with the bulk-forming food you need. Kellogg's All Bran is the only whole bran cereal to bring you the combination of proved effectiveness, appetizing taste, and crispness. It never gets mushy in milk. So get back in tune and stay in tune. It's easy with the one and only Kellogg's All Bran, ALL-BRAN. Safe, reliable, pleasant. Millions enjoy it every day. They know they can count on Kellogg's All Bran to relieve irregularity.
Heard in tonight's story were Joseph Julian as Bernie, Nat Poland as Claude, Frank Thomas Jr. as Red, and Jim Bowles as Rocco. Others in the cast included William Redfield, Alan Manson, Jack Grimes, Sam Raskin, Bill Lipton, and Peter Fernandez. Listen again next week when we return with Bitter Grapes by Milton Geiger, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The latest news follows, then Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. We bring you Bitter Grapes, a story written for suspense by Milton Geiger.
It's a very big drugstore, and it has everything. I want it to be big, because I want to be small and unnoticed. I want to be invisible in my wretchedness. I want to crawl into silence and oblivion. I want to finish my last days in peace. Today, when I saw Dr. Quillen again, I was sure. I'm going to die. He tried to be casual, but I know. I took the prescription to the huge drugstore. Not that I wanted to live. I just wanted to live long enough to make sure that I had killed Warren.
This will take about 10 minutes, Mr. Blake. Now, will you wait for it?
Tell me, what's that medicine supposed to be for?
That's really for your doctor to say.
Never mind, I know what it's for. You used to have one of those little booths here where people could make records of their voice.
Yeah, they're right behind the magazines, Mrs. Blake.
Oh, yes.
You drop a $50 in the slot and record a 3-minute message and drop the record in the lockbox.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, drop $50 in slot. Full level. Speak clearly and evenly into microphone. Yes. My dearest Warren, you have the note I left for you about the food I left for you in the refrigerator. Don't look for me. You see, Warren, I've known all along about that woman you've been seeing. Coming home so very late to our little ranch home we once loved. Giving me your weak, absurd excuses. Oh, why, Warren? When we were so happy together. It's all gone. Our vines have bitter grapes now. Remember, darling? Remember how you used to read to me from Song of Songs, which is Solomon? Let me see thy countenance, my beloved. Let me hear thy voice. The sweet is thy voice, and thy countenance is coming. Remember? You've read my note by now, telling you to take the food I left for you in the refrigerator. And as you listen to this record, you're a dying man. The food was poisoned. Only I can tell the doctors what the poison was in time to save you. But I'm dying, and I want you to die. I'm so sorry, Warren, darling. All the little foxes that spoil our vineyard. Bye, my darling. I had to do it. I had to do it.
Here you are, Mrs. Blake. And notice the directions on the label carefully. 1 tablet morning and night for 30 days. Then 1 tablet only after breakfast.
How much is that, please?
That's $2.75 for 100 tablets. You can get the prescription refilled 5 times without another prescription from your doctor.
100 tablets?
Yes, ma'am.
3 stems, 5 times?
Mm-hmm.
But that's all.
That's almost a year's medication.
But this... Please, give me some change. I'd like to use your telephone. Right away. Dr. Quillen, I must ask you a blunt question.
Go ahead, Mrs. Blake.
I told you in your office an hour ago that I've been feeling worse lately. A sense of impending death.
Now, you've been a very bad girl about following my orders for a quieter emotional life, Mrs. Blake.
Then I was right. I am going to die.
Now, Mrs. Blake...
Well, admit it. Tell me I'm going to die.
On the contrary, like so many heart patients, you can live sensibly to a ripe old age.
But that's impossible.
You are contradicting, if I may say so, one of the leading heart specialists.
Oh. He's gone. I've got to die now. The police will hear that record. They'll come after me. I've got to get the record back.
All set, Mrs. Blake. I put your medicine in this envelope. It's quite a small vial.
About that record I just made in your booth?
No, it'll be picked up and stamped downtown, Mrs. Blake.
I know, but... Well, I just spoke to somebody on the phone, and now the message on my record sounds just too ridiculous. I'd like to get it back, please.
I'm afraid I can't help you there, Mrs. Blake.
Well, it's my record, isn't it?
Yes.
I want it back.
Well, it isn't our machine. The man who collects the records has the key.
But all right. When are the records collected then?
The man isn't due until around noon tomorrow.
I can't wait until then. I couldn't bear it. I mean, I've made plans to go east, and they can't be changed.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Sorry isn't enough. One thing I do. I wander among the shelves of pot scars and light bulbs and whatnot and find a heavy screwdriver. I go into the record booth again. Close the door. I pry at the box that holds the record. Then the cover shapeless. It won't open. Useless. I've got to wait until tomorrow.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Blake. I thought you'd be on your way east this morning.
I had to cancel. So I thought I might as well come back and pick up that record. You said the serviceman will be here at noon?
Oh, he's already been here.
Been here? But you told me he wouldn't be here until noon.
I know, but somebody tried to jimmy the record box yesterday shortly after you left. The man had to come out early this morning to fix it.
Somebody jimmied...
Are you all right, Mrs. Blake?
Can I stop my record before they put it in the mail? Can I telephone them and stop them? It's important.
You might try. The magazine stand there has the number.
Hurry.
Phone to Leather Incorporated. Devitt talking.
Mr. Devitt, I'm calling from the Gold Coast Pharmacy.
Oh, that vandalism thing. Well, my man took care of that this morning, didn't he?
I'm a customer, Mr. Devitt. I made a record on your machine here yesterday, and I have to have it back.
Well, I can't hold the whole shebang up just for you.
Please, it's important.
If you want your record, you'll have to get down here in half an hour.
I'm taking a taxi right away. Hello, I'm looking for Mr. Devitt.
You got him.
I phoned you an hour ago about my record.
Yeah, the records are going out, lady.
But I told you.
I couldn't hold them any longer, lady.
All right, where did you mail them?
Not me. Leonard.
Who is Leonard?
Look, lady, now don't take it out on me. What happened to come into your head to put on the record?
Where did Leonard mail the record?
You got me.
But don't you know?
With $1 million around? Ask Leonard.
Well, where is he?
Well, this is his day at the races. He's gone for the day.
Oh, I don't know what to do. What should I do?
Well, I don't know what's in this here record you sent. The party you sent it to.
I sent it to my husband. Wouldn't the postman give me the record if I wait for him at the collection box?
Not a chance. How far does the record go? I mean in miles.
Oh, about 60 miles.
It's okay. You just be waiting for the mailman when he delivers your mail, that's all. That's simple.
I didn't send it to our home. I wanted to make very sure that nobody but my husband could hear it. I sent it to his box number.
In that case, lady, you are but dead.
Don't say that.
Of course, there might be one chance.
Tell me.
We put the records in a big cardboard box and park them on top of the mailbox. That way we don't hog the whole mailbox to ourselves.
But you don't know which box.
That's the heck of it, ain't it? What are you going to do, lady? Check them all?
All right, driver. Now, try cruising up and down the north-south streets and slow down at the corners.
Are you sure you know what you're doing, ma'am? The meter says $11.40, and we ain't 1 mile from where you started. Now, are you sure?
Wait, driver. I see it. Stop here.
It'll be $11.40.
Well, I'll pay you later. Wait for me, please.
Oh, no. I'll hold the flag, but I got to get paid now for what you owe me.
Oh, I can't find my money purse right now. I've got to get to that mailbox before that mail truck on the next corner gets to it.
Absolutely not, ma'am. Now, I'm sorry.
Please. I know I've got the money someplace. Here, take my wristwatch. Please, it'll be too late.
No, lady, no.
Driver, I promise you, I give you my word. Let me off here and drive around the block and pick me up again. We'll take it from there, please.
All right. Once around the block and you'll be there?
The next mailbox, I promise.
Okay, lady.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I get to the box. The mail truck is inching toward me through traffic. Hurry. I ripple through the envelopes in the cardboard box on top of the mailbox. Flake, Warren Flake. Oh, where is it? Nobody even notices. I'm just a secretary whose misaddressed an envelope is casually recovering it. Casually. My heart is hammering. And then suddenly, Blake. Warren Blake. I have it. And I'm at the curb. And there's my taxi around the corner for me. Taxi! Driver, I didn't run away, did I? You see, my money purse slipped into the cuff of one of my gloves. See, here.
All right, fine. Where'd you now?
Oh, well, first, I want to stop at some music store where I can rent a portable record player.
I know just the place for a portable record player.
And then I want to go to my hotel. I want to listen to something. I've got to make sure. Turntable speed for 33 hemisphere revolutions per minute. So, start. Now. My dear Warren.
My dearest wife.
What?
I hope you're back home by now in a little old ranch house listening to this record of my voice.
Warren, how?
I don't know how to begin. Now, let's see.
Warren, how?
Oh, I'll come right out with it, baby. I'm worried. Just when I ought to be happiest. You see, our money problems are all over suddenly. Well, those were the only problems we ever had together, weren't they?
No, Warren, they weren't.
You see, I never wanted to tell you what I was up to. Being out late at night, coming home at all hours.
Perfume clinging to your coat.
But I had a secret, Lorna.
Yes.
I couldn't talk to you about it, but I knew you trusted me and believed in me, so I just told you I was working like serious.
So I poisoned you. Period.
I just avoided your questions as well as I could. Until I could be sure.
Sure of what? The other woman?
Well, this morning I got home late. Out all night again, of course.
Of course.
I found your note with your instructions about taking the food in the refrigerator.
And?
I warmed up the stuff and reduced it to nothing but bones and crumbs and a greasy spot on the plate. Thanks, honey.
You deserve it.
I am worried, though. I didn't like the tone of your letter. When you didn't show up, I decided to call Dr. Quillen in the city. He said you'd just been there.
Yes, dear.
He said you telephoned, too, with some ridiculous premonition that you were going to die. Oh, honey, that's silly, because now we're all set. You've got it made at last.
Indeed.
You know, my boss's daughter's married to that aircraft executive, don't you? Well, Barbara.
Barbara?
Well, that is Mrs. Aircraft Executive. Took a liking to my work. Asked me to take a crack at designing a house for her and Mr. Aircraft Executive.
Is that all she took a liking to, Warren?
Well, ma'am, she liked the plans so well, she showed them to her husband. And he liked them so well, he just commissioned me to design a new jet engine laboratory for the company. So that's where your wandering boy has been these long nights. Now it can be told. I've been working with Barbara Aircraft Executive so I'd get just what her husband likes in a home and a plant and hit the jackpot.
Oh, Warren.
I didn't want to raise your hopes until I was sure. I came home full of the big news. Then I found that note of yours. Started to get real worried.
Kitten.
I decided to drive into the city. Well, then I traced you to that big drugstore where you get your prescriptions filled.
Oh, Kitten.
The druggist said you'd been there all right. Said you'd used the record-making machine they've got there. So I thought it'd be a nice idea to use it myself. How am I coming over, honey? This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
darling.
No fooling, though, Lorna. Are you okay?
Oh, forgive me.
I keep phoning you at the ranch, but no answer. I'll keep on trying to reach you, but I want to get this into the record. Have you got a pencil and paper handy?
In my purse. Oh, wait. Yes.
You ready?
Ready, darling.
Now take this down. Reading 2311. Got it? RE2311.
Ready? 2311.
That's the telephone number of the hospital I'm going to be in town.
Hospital?
I'm feeling queasy since I ate that stuff you left for me. No criticism intended.
Oh, Warren.
Probably just the excitement and strain I've been under sweating out this big thing. Anyway, the doctors at Suburban General are going to start tests as soon as I check in. Man.
Tests?
Well, that's about all.
Tests will take too long.
I don't have enough record left to say anything more than I love you, darling.
Oh, I love you. I love you.
Oh, my doves that art in the clefts of the rock, in the covert of the cliff. Let me see thy countenance. Let me hear thy voice. Remember?
Oh, forgive me.
Oh, there goes the red light. Time's up.
Oh, no.
I'll be seeing you, baby. Now remember the number. Reading 2311. I love you.
Warren. Warren, you'll die. I didn't know. I didn't understand. I was ill and desperate, and I loved you so. Forgive me. I poisoned the food. Forgive me. Telephone. Say it's the doctor's what I gave him. You ready? Ready? 2, 3. Get off the line.
Will you please call Tom Albright to the telephone?
Get off the line. This is an emergency.
Who is this?
Please.
Is this the Excelsior bowling alley?
No. No. Foxy. Foxy.
Suburban General Hospital.
Hello?
Hello, this is Suburban General Hospital. Hello?
Foxy. Foxy.
Hello, is something the matter there?
Hello?
Can you speak up a little, please?
My heart.
I'm sorry, I still can't hear you. Would you like to ring the operator and ask for a better line?
No. No, there isn't time.
Who is this, please?
This is Warren Blake.
Is something the matter?
I must talk to Mr. Blake at once.
One moment, please.
Let me see thy countenance. Let me hear thy voice, oh, Warren. Let me hear thy voice. Let me...
Mona, baby. Hi, darling. How are you?
Hello, darling. I'm fine. Don't talk, darling. Let me talk to your doctor, darling. Right away.
Suspense. You've been listening to Bitter Grapes, written for Suspense by Milton Geiger. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense. Heard in tonight's story were Rita Lloyd as Lorna and Bill Leader as Warren. Others in the cast included Arthur Cole, Edwin Wolfe, Terry Keane, John Seymour, and Edgar Staley. Listen again next week when we return with Legend of Robbie by Walter Black. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The latest news follows and Have Gun Will Travel on CBS Radio.